Hello and welcome to the Love is Blind RHAP-Up. I am Aysha and we are here to talk about Love is Blind Season 4, episodes 1 through 5 that have dropped this week. And as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Mary Kwiatkowski. Mary, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited that we are both on the same page. The internet is on the same page with us. We stan Irina. Irina is the best, our queen. We hope she finds love and happiness. She's so nice and so perfect.
I can't wait for that to be clipped on TikTok and someone's like, do you hear this?
You hear this? You don't know anything. No, of course not.
No.
Wow. Love is Blind Season 4 coming in strong. I think at times throughout the last season, and especially with the After the Altar stuff, there were times when we thought, do we need this? Has the show peaked? Has the
Right.
experiment been done? And I'm happy to say that regardless of any of the outcomes with the couples, I'm still living for it. I still love
Yeah.
everything that's happening.
I was watching this batch of episodes and I'm like, am I watching the 2023 version of Mean Girls? Because what Irina and Micah, I'm sorry. Are y'all 12? Like I couldn't even make sense of any of the mean girl tendencies that they displayed all 5 episodes. Just like, oh, I can't wait to get into it. But
It's
oh
so
my
much to talk
gosh.
about it. I wanna say up front, because everyone who's listening, just be prepared for the fact that I'm going to be mentioning my brother a lot because I watched this batch with my brother, and he, in, like, a surprise move, it must have been growing up with 2 sisters. He loves Love is Blind. Like, he never really got into The Bachelor with us or whatever. I'm not sure why he loves Love is Blind so much, but he also watched Perfect Match and really enjoyed that,
Yeah.
which I haven't gotten around to yet, but,
Yeah.
um he watched Love is Blind, and then he came over to my house this weekend and he's like, "Do you wanna watch it? Do you wanna watch it again? I'll watch it again." And so we
That's
watched it,
lovely.
and every 10 minutes he's like, "What do you think of this? What do you think about these people?"
Yeah.
So I have a lot of parts in my notes where I'm like, my brother Dave called
Yeah.
this out, and, yeah, he was so excited to talk about it. So,
Oh,
uh,
that's
I have
hilarious. That
I have
actually
all his thoughts.
reminds me in this moment, I need to text my brother and ask him what he thought about this batch because we watched a couple of episodes of Perfect Match together. But yeah, he watches Love is Blind, listens to the podcast. So
That's what this show is about.
exactly. But yes, if y'all are listening to this, this is a spoiler, not a spoiler free zone, a spoiler not free zone. We're
Spoiler filled, yes.
spoiler filled. We are going to be talking about our thoughts and reactions on everything that happened, through episode 1 through 5. So if you have not watched and you plan to go watch it, then come back and join us because we will be talking about it all, and giving our reactions to it all. Make sure you subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed where you can get all of these podcasts about Love is Blind. You can even see our coverage from season 3 and season 2. Yeah. Wow. Wow. This is our third season covering this show.
I know, it's
How
exciting.
amazing.
They just
But
keep
yeah,
coming.
yeah, they really do. But yes, make sure you go catch our coverage on that feed and leave us a 5-star rating and review so we know that you're enjoying it and we can keep coming back and talking about this show. So, without further ado, what did you think about just overall thoughts? How did you feel going into these while we were like watching the pods and watching everything happen?
So I felt like this season has felt, it's like a sister season to last season,
Mhm.
but in a opposite way. Last season, we knew pretty quickly that a lot of the men were going to be the divisive ones, the ones that
Mhm.
the fans either loved or hated, the ones that were going to be, for lack of a better word, like the drama in their relationships, right? Um, and for the most part, it seems like this season it was pretty obvious very quickly that it was going to be a couple of the women who were going to be the ones that I think the audience is kind of scratching their head, like, what? what's the appeal, right? Because I know that, for example, in season 2, when everything was happening with the Shane and Natalie and Shayna situation, I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us were like, it's when you see the person and you hear the little small edited bits of conversation, sometimes we can be a little confused at how the connections form. I know there's a lot we don't see, but you're like, really? I don't know if I picture these people together. And this season I was thinking the same thing, but mostly when it came to people like Micah and Irina. I'm like, I'm not, I mean, it's not like I'm saying I don't understand why anyone would like them. I'm saying I can't see why these relationships are going. And, we'll talk about it in depth, but when you have Zach choosing between Bliss and Irina, it's like, what are you hearing that we're not that's making you make these decisions? Things like that.
Yeah. Because at first, when I was watching, I was just thinking, like, am I invested? Like, are these people, am I going to be invested in these people? Because, yeah,
Mhm.
I was excited going into it, just new batch,
Right.
excited to see what we get, because at this point from last season, we're just hanging on to Brennan and Alexa.
Alexis. Wait,
Yeah, Alexis.
what happened to Colleen and Matt?
Oh, and Colleen and Matt.
I
Yeah.
was like, did something happen recently? I missed it.
I know. Yes, no, I've seen so
We still
many.
got two.
Yeah. Still, okay. You're right. You're right. We still have two. And so it's just funny. I see so many people joking about Colleen and Matt. Like,
Yeah.
I literally just saw a TikTok saying they were waiting for them to announce their breakup. But as far as I'm concerned, they're doing well. They're thriving. So yes, we have those two couples, but it's just like, I was wondering, okay, when are we going to get our Lauren and Cameron again? When are we going to get that couple that we can just like love to love? And so I feel like I kind of got that as soon as I saw Brett and Tiffany talk. I was so excited. I love them.
Me too.
And it's like, it's enough love to compensate for the other 5. Like, yes, okay, Jackie and Marshall, they're up there.
See, this is where I have a couple people like, okay, I think we're in agreement. Brett and Tiffany already. I know it's only been 5 episodes.
Yeah.
They're the couple I'm rooting for.
Yes.
I want them to work. I like them. I like their chemistry. I like everything about them. Then there's individual people who I really, really like. I'm trying to remember who it was in the past, but I feel like we've had couples in the past where we like both of the people. Oh, it was Salary. It was Sal and Mallory. We liked both of them, but we weren't sure if we liked them together. That's how I feel about Jacquelina and Marshall. I really like both of them. I'm not sure if I want them together or not. I would say up until the next time on coming up on this season, I was like all in on the two of them.
Right.
But they're my like, I hope it works, but if it doesn't work, I at least want the best for both of them because I love them individually.
Yeah.
And I also am a big Chelsea fan. Individually.
Like, period. Yeah, I will say, when Jackie saw Brett for the first time and her reaction was about how fine he was, I was like, oh, I don't think she has that feeling about Marshall. Like, I think she thinks Marshall is like adorable, but we'll get into it.
Okay. Marshall is 100% like, I'm not gonna say he's like 100% my type. I mean, he is, but I don't want to like. I have lots of types, but he is. But the whole time I was watching him, I was like, oh, Marshall's the best. Like,
he really is so sweet, and his eyes are beautiful. And to find out that he is the cousin of Justin Glaze from Katie Thurston's Bachelorette season, and Justin is amazing. I think he's a great guy.
They're cousins, is that what you said?
Yes, they're cousins. They have the same last name, so they're probably first cousins. Justin, he had, a little bit of a rough stint on Bachelor in Paradise, but I really liked him on The Bachelorette. But Justin is very attractive too, and I was just like, who is this family?
Huh. I'm looking at Justin now. I didn't watch that season of The Bachelor or the wait. Yeah,
Justin
no,
Glaze
doesn't look familiar. So we like him too.
Yes, Justin's not a bad guy. He has a lot of likable traits.
Okay.
But Yeah, I just yeah, I'm in that same boat. That's why I say like Jackie and Marshall, they're up there. Like if I had to rank the couples,
Mhm.
but I feel that exact same way about I like them individually.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, let's talk about some of the highlights from the pod. So some of the people we met, but we didn't they didn't, end up with anybody, so we really didn't get to know them. Uh what about
One
that
thing
go
one thing I
ahead.
thought was so weird, or not weird necessarily, but unlike last season, it seems like this season the show has a lot more content to give, or at least up front. I'm curious to see how
Mhm.
the later episodes go because out of these 5 episodes we got, 4 of them were over an hour,
Yeah.
and the 5th one was like 40 something minutes, 48 minutes,
Mhm.
46 minutes. So they're skewing long, and also 3 full episodes were in the pods.
Yeah.
Last season, we had 2 episodes, and then the first, like, 10 minutes of episode 3
Mhm.
had to do with the pods and the proposals. So we had a lot more of that content, even though I feel like this season we saw the fewest number of people. Like, we really didn't see that we didn't even get a montage of, like, the random people talking who we don't follow through the season, which I was kinda surprised
Right.
about.
Yeah, it was interesting too because they were focusing on like you pretty much knew who we were going to continue to follow because we were getting so much content from
Mhm.
them. And we were getting a lot of like names from other people being involved in those other couples or helping those people with their relationships. And I was like, I wonder is that because they realize that they're going to start doing more of these like group things and it's going to be,
Maybe.
oh, this person's from the pod squad. So you can recognize them because they were having a conversation with Brett.
Do you think this show it seems so coincidental this season that there were so many love triangle overlap things, right?
Mhm.
Whereas you look at this, we've got 15 women and probably I'm assuming 15 men. I didn't count the men, but 15-ish men,
Mhm.
and we really only see 8 of each. And so it seems
Mhm.
interesting, like, what are the odds that, Kwame likes 2 girls, of which one of them likes Paul, and Paul also likes another girl. It's like they're all connected, and especially once we meet them in person, we find out that, like, Irina also likes Paul, like, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like, what are the odds that it's not that they're all liking different people? They all like the same segment. Like, it almost feels like you could have had the other 7 women and men that we didn't see, like, off in their own little circle. We could
Right.
have almost had 2 full amount shows worth, and that's something I always really like to look up. It hasn't been released yet, but, like, did anyone else make a connection that we didn't see?
Right. Like, did we have any other proposals? That's a good question because, we have seen that in the past, like
Mhm.
season one. Uh, like, could it be that these were just the people who stood out with like strong personalities? So I mean, you always have that in a group of like, oh, that's the most charismatic person, or
Right.
that guy was kind of shy. I mean, like we saw with, I think his name was Billy. Uh Billy would Bill. Bill. He was too much. He was guessing people. He was trying to guess people's race. He was
Height.
trying to guess their heights. He was also the one that said that he would have sex with his wife in public, hands down. Uh he had no intention of actually getting married, right?
I can't imagine. You know, I like to think that if I was on this show that like, "Oh, of course you'd find at least one person you have a connection with."
Mhm.
Probably. But I've been on a lot of first dates with, people that I didn't, so who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I just find it really interesting how they do that. Also the show, where do they get their music? I would love to know where Netflix gets their music
Mhm.
because I was paying attention, maybe it's 'cause I had the captions on, but the lyrics of the songs that will play in the background, it'll just be, like, one sentence sung over and over, like, "I am wonderstruck by you," and then they'll just
Yeah.
keep doing that over and over. My other favorite was, "I love you, never was meant to hurt this way." It just kept doing that. Like, oh, so good, so good.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like Married, because Married at First Sight, they have their own like people, like they make specific songs specifically for the show. So I
Oh,
would imagine. I mean,
it's
because like
probably
you
like
watch
that.
like Selling Sunset. Those songs, they're not on the radio. Like they
Right, 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 right.
I'm a boss girl.
Yeah.
It's specific. But um yeah, Bill, he definitely stood out to me. Were there any other people that stood out that we really didn't get to know?
There were a couple people we saw, like, we'd see them in B-roll, but then we
Mhm.
never talked to them. I think Wendy was one. Um, who was the other one? Somebody gets name drop. Um, Jacquelina lists that she likes JP, Marshall, and Josh, and then we never see JP again.
Yeah.
Um,
The only thing I noted from JP was like he doesn't like the swiping, which same JP. I get
yes.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote down, I really identify with the guy who says he needed an opportunity to put work and other things aside and really concentrate on dating. Asia, I think you were the one who said when this show came out, you're like, how am I supposed to concentrate on dating when these dating shows that I have to cover keep coming out?
Yeah, no, like that I was like, okay, relatable, but also not good because you still have that real life. So you
Right.
know, you meet someone, you still have to work them into your life. But I was like, I was thinking about that with myself. I'm like, I don't even have the time to date.
Do we miss Nick Lachey saying, and I'm Nick Lachey, obviously? Because I kind of miss that. That was
I can't say that I do. I was filled with a little bit of joy when he didn't say it
when he
this
didn't
time.
say it. Oh.
So yeah. I wonder if so speaking of like the people in the pods, I wonder if they've gotten feedback that like people want to get to know more about the people that we are actually going to be following because it was a huge difference. But I don't say I didn't love it. I feel like now we have a lot of thoughts about the about
Right.
the 10 people who are in relationships.
Yeah, that's good. I just feel bad for the people who got on the show and then don't even get any screen time. But,
What about all the people who applied and didn't even make it that far?
I feel for them too. I feel for
Yeah.
them too. It's definitely not either of us on this podcast. Um, yeah. So,
Uh,
all right, we could jump into some of the people in the pods. Who do we want to talk about first in terms of the couples?
yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about our favorite couple.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, so Brett and Tiffany, I knew right away from their first conversation that this was going to be what the couple that made my heart warm
Yes.
and feel good. Like I need I need that when you're going to have so much drama with other people,
Mhm.
like at least have the breath of fresh air couple, which I feel like is definitely Brett and Tiffany. And I don't even know if they're going to be like the boring couple because typically that aligns. We did get the least amount of content from them, but I will say it's enjoyable watching them because I'm just like I'm interested to see what this journey is going to be. What are they going to like about each other? Is there going to be conflict at some point? But for starters, the her falling asleep in the pods was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. And I think they had to put this in because the kind of steady power couple, first couple that we see get engaged, typically they need to find some sort of way of like throwing in a little tension, like will they work, with
Hmm.
Cameron and Lauren, it was the like, will her dad like him, that was like the
Yeah.
only drama. And then I don't think there was any with Alexis. Was it Alexis or Alexa? Man, I cannot remember.
It's like I wanna say Alexa, but it's Alexis, I believe.
Okay,
No,
and
Is it Alexa? I just think it's
you know
Brennan and
what?
Alexa.
It's one of those 2. We're close.
Oh my
With the
gosh,
2
that
of
is so
them,
weird. I'm, like,
I know,
hustling, going to
because I
my
was so confident before I started speaking, and then once I said
mhm.
it, uh,
It's Alexa.
okay,
Goodness.
Alexa
Yeah, I
and
don't know
and
why I couldn't
Brennan.
remember that, yeah.
I am
There
so
was an
sorry.
Alexis on last season of Married at First Sight, so I'm just, like, all over the place.
Well, it's like these shows, you watch it,
Mhm.
you're all in, and then the next one comes around. But when um when they were together, was there even any drama? I don't even remember there being really any tension potentially with
Mostly her
them.
dad.
Yeah, again, with, like, the
Mm,
dad thing.
yeah.
And then in season 2, that was the only one that we had kind of change in course with Nick and Danielle being the like super steady couple up until when they got home, and then it was a lot of drama with
Yeah,
the two
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
I think that Tiffany and Brett are going to be more in the first, the season 1 and season 3 category.
yeah.
And so, if they have any kind of drama, it's going to be like, oh no, it's going to be something small, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, so considering this was it, uh, he opens up to her and she fell asleep in the conversation, and they end the episode on that. That is like the cliffhanger big. Normally the first episode, the end is a proposal. We didn't have that this time. Instead, we have
Mhm.
him opening up, she falls asleep, and I actually wrote down that the beginning of the next episode, a bunch of girls come in and are like, Tiffany, you gotta wake up, you gotta get up. And she's like, ha ha ha, giggling. And then it takes a little while before she's like, wait, is is Brett still here? And he's not. And that's what I was thinking, like, were they drinking? Because I feel like
There
maybe
was a bottle of Casamigos right there on her table,
because
and
if it was
someone
late
yeah,
drinking.
a third of the bottle was gone.
Oh,
So
okay.
it could have been
So
something that they like she had been progressively working on, and
yeah.
or the girls had it in the, the court the girls' quarters, and she brought it. But I'm like, "Oh, it was definitely just like a, hey, I'm, sipping, having a good time." And then she just had a nice little drunken sleep.
Have you ever fallen asleep when someone's talking to you?
Yes.
Okay.
I have, yeah.
I probably used to. I know, like, I was in high school and college, and just after college, I was, like, really if I laid down, especially in the day, if I was like someone said,
Mhm.
"Oh, let's watch a movie during the daytime," I'd be out. I'd fall asleep. I'm not like that anymore for whatever reason, but, like, my mom and sister, there's so many times. My brother today, we were watching the episodes, and I turn around, he's asleep, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well." It would've been
Yeah.
really funny if it was at this moment. It wasn't, but yeah, she does. I My favorite part about this is that when she apologizes, doesn't even wait for him to say anything, immediately goes into, like, assuring him, "I am all
Yes.
in. Here's how I feel about you. It was a long day, and you and you have a soothing voice, but I just want you to know, like, that I'm here, and I feel so bad about it." And then I think he was right to say, in the long run, we're gonna look back at this as being a funny little moment.
Yeah, I love that he pointed that out, because I at first, like, when he left, I was wondering, what did he think? What did he think happened? Did he think that she left the
I
room,
guess.
or did he I don't know what was going through his mind, because he was just like, "Man, it's just like fumbling at the 1-yard line." And I was like, "Did he think he messed up and
I
by
feel like
like
he
not
needed
saying
to
I love you
yell.
back?"
Like, instead of just going he called her name a couple times. I feel like he should have yelled her name just to see.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. I was laughing so hard. And then she was knocked out. I literally sent my friends an audio message of me laughing, reacting to that, because that was hilarious, especially the fact that they were in such a good place. Like,
yes.
yes, this is absolutely going to be a funny moment to look back on. And she didn't even wake herself up. That she was that deep into REM sleep.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah,
girls
she
had
was
to wake
out.
her up.
She was
Yeah.
out.
They're like, it's like 4 a.m. She hasn't come back. I was surprised, like, the producer just didn't wake her up, but that was a
And
cute moment.
I felt bad for him. Like, that must have been harsh
Yeah,
to
he didn't know
be
until the whole
so
next
questioning.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, poor
That
guy.
was
But that
bad.
was so funny.
And that
But
was
yeah.
basically their biggest drama of the
Mhm.
whole 5 episodes. For the rest of it, it's mostly everyone being like, "Oh, I hope they're together, like, they're so
Yeah.
great." Like, I think was it Kwame, was he the one who said, like, "Oh, what I can't remember what he said, like, "I'll have a stroke if they're or a heart attack or something if they're not together." Like, he
Mhm.
put them above his own
His
relationship,
own
which I thought was
rightfully
funny.
so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And I will say, like, in the pods, him telling that story about his brother, his older brother,
Yes.
was who was going to get married, and,
Yes.
right before he passed away right before his wedding. And that was just, oh, that was I definitely was tearing up
Oh, I
hearing him
was.
tell, yeah. I was just,
100%.
oh, but yeah, Brett is just he's so likable. And I think that he just seems so genuine, which helps you be a little bit more invested in a relationship, because I don't have that, like, looming, oh, is he an F boy on me,
No, I don't.
So
And I know we've been proven wrong in the past when it comes, like, we've only seen the first 5 episodes, but so
Mhm.
far, I would say the 2 of them are the most mature couple so far. The
Yeah,
only 2
maturity is the
they
thing.
they haven't really, and maybe it's because they didn't make other connections, but neither of them have talked about, like, thinking about other people,
Mhm.
any of that, and I'm just checking their ages now. So Tiffany is 37. I think she was 36 when she was filming the show,
And he was 35.
and he's 35. So they,
Mhm.
in all together, I believe that this cast, at least it looks like, looking at the numbers here, skews a little bit older than the previous season. I feel like the previous season we had a couple like 24, 25-year-olds.
Mhm.
And right now the youngest person in the cast is Irina, which is not surprising. And I look, I understand when Irina and Micah, they're only a couple years younger than me.
Mhm.
And when I was that age, I felt fully mature and everything. But
Mhm.
it's just when you compare that to everyone else who is for the most part 30, 31, 32, 35, 36, 37. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not really surprising that they seem a bit younger on the show combined
Yeah,
with other things. So,
exactly. But yeah, I mean, Tiffany talks about how like she's like won sales awards and she is just, on her stuff. She is really being she's successful in her career, and this is what she's looking for. So I think the fact they both have the right mindset coming into this, that they do want to find their person. They're not just here to see, oh, if I click with someone, I click with someone and then we'll see. I think the fact that they were able to find that with each other, and even later it was mentioned that Marshall had a date with Tiffany and was like, oh, she's a little older for me, but pay attention to her. And then he
mhm.
had his first date with her and was like, yes. So I was so happy, that when they did ultimately meet, they had so much chemistry, like physical chemistry. It's like,
Yes.
oh, it all came together.
Which is the only other note I have about them, which is Netflix. Look, I understand that you don't have ratings, but oh my gosh, I felt like I was intruding on some personal moments.
It's like, am I supposed to like, what am I supposed to do in
I'm
this
watching
moment?
this with my brother. Oh no.
They had us all up inside of their bed. It was like they left nothing up to the imagination.
No.
So we know that they are feeling each other. It was very evident. So,
I
but I was
mean,
happy for them.
oh
It was
yes,
like Netflix had,
extremely.
yeah, they had so much fun filming that scene.
I I can't say this because I would love to be on one of these shows and I would hope that I could get used to the cameras, but that would be I feel like I'd have to be like, "Okay, but now that our hips are moving, I'm gonna need
Yeah.
the cameras to back up a little bit. Please edit that out of the show."
Now that our hips are moving. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's funny. I think they because he also was the one that bought her like a bathing suit, right? He's like, I got you something.
That was interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't that cute, but she loved it. And I
I
think
liked the pattern. I was not expecting, I think when you hear like, "Oh, I bought you a bathing suit," you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be like very, I don't know, revealing." And then it was
Mhm.
like a cute one piece. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it, but it was like pretty, it was like
tame.
yeah, it was tame. It was a cute
Yeah.
pattern, but yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, I was like, and she loved it, so I was like, "Oh, that's what real love is." Because
Yeah.
he could have gotten her an extra, extra, uh, extra large white T-shirt, and she would have been like, "Oh, this is so thoughtful. Thank you. It's so comfortable." But yeah, I was like, these two. It's very evident they did truly fall in love in the
Mhm.
pods.
Yes.
So I was just uh, very happy for them. I'm very pleased with how things went from the pods to meeting to Mexico.
Yes.
Even when they met with the other couples, we got to see Brett be more of the like mediator with a lot of this, like not mediator between the man and the woman, but more so just the voice of reason for his guy friends. with Kwame and Marshall. And so I think it's nice to have that level head for them to talk to, because we didn't quite have that in Brennan, who started judging everyone's relationships because his
Yeah,
was so good.
because what is it with the like the secure couple feeling like they need to then stir the pot with everybody else?
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
like he's handling this right.
I love they're not really a duo yet, but I would love the Brett Marshall duo of just like
Hmm.
the headed guys who are, just like, yeah, we should normalize talking about our feelings.
Kwame is throwing them off. He keeps
Uh,
coming in like he's like he's like the Michelle of the Destiny's Child. Like, yes, okay, it's needed in some conversations, but Beyonce and Kelly can stand on their own.
I don't want to go back and listen to it, but I feel like there was a time last season when I was like, "Oh, I really want to like Bartise." And I really don't want that to be the same scenario with Kwame. Come on, Kwame. You got to turn it around, and I can't have you have the same haircut as Bartise. I cannot have you go down that path. Like,
What is with this haircut?
I don't know. I don't know, but like I don't know. It's just this we'll come back to them. I have a lot of thoughts, but we'll come back to them.
Yeah. So I
But he
mean,
should learn from these other two men who are right here in front of
absolutely,
him.
absolutely. But yeah, Brett and Tiffany, they are a power couple to watch. I don't have any concerns besides the her bawling her eyes out in the preview. That
Right.
makes me a little nervous, but I also think it could be, I can't believe I was able to find, the love of my life through this process, and it's,
Yes.
this emotion is overtaking me, because they showed the scenes of him like, this isn't supposed to happen on your wedding day. Editing is a powerful thing.
Yes.
So,
Please let it
are you
be
do you have any
editing.
concerns with them?
I don't. I think they're great. I think that it's going to be either something small or something completely out of context. So,
Yes, exactly. I
let's hope.
I totally agree.
Yes.
So which couple should we talk about next?
Let's see. Let's talk about Marshall and Jackie while we're here. Are we going with Jackie? Has she officially?
I think we are. They changed her lower third to
Oh, did
Jackie.
they? Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yes.
sticking.
So Marshall and Jackie, she was she had it narrowed down to him and Josh, but we basically saw nothing from Josh. So I'm sure Josh
Yeah.
was fine, but we don't really know anything about him. So can only assume that she made the right choice here.
Yeah, I was like, they didn't leave anything up to the imagination with which will she choose, because I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. If I close my eyes, I can't picture Josh. So you keep saying he's on the table, but I'm not sure which one he is. And then they show, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's him with the slick down hair. So okay, got
a,
it.
a little bit of drama in the pods with she tells Marshall that Josh had said he was packing his bags and that if she basically didn't assure him that he was the one that he was going to go home, and that offended Marshall. He was like, how dare you, I don't know, like
I
give
think
an
it's
ultimatum like that. I don't really know what he was exactly upset about.
I think his main thing was that he had been opening up to the guys about how he
Yeah,
felt about Jackie, and he had no idea that Josh was in the running. I think he was
gotcha.
more so just blindsided that there was another person in the equation, and then the ultimatum kind of like, just he escalated it in his head because he was just so blindsided, the fact that he thought he was her one and only option at that point, and he didn't even know who to look at because he had no idea which guy was on the table.
I did have one pet peeve in that scene, or one of the scenes around that, where when she tells Marshall that she also has been talking with Josh, I think you're right. He is more upset about not knowing that Josh, like from Josh's side. But she
Mhm.
says, when he gets a little quiet and a little frustrated, she says, I feel like you're mad at me. And that is a pet peeve of mine of like, I understand why people say that, but
Mhm.
it kind of shows me like you care less about how they're feeling and more about how their feelings could reflect negatively on you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's like, look, if someone's upset about something you said, don't turn it back around and try to make it about you in that moment. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
just like see what that situation is. But most of my notes about Jackie are about how hilarious she is, because I just really find her really funny.
Yeah, I thought I realized she's gonna be our like confessional comedian.
Yes.
Because she was talking about how there's so many flavors, so many choices, and you know, she had her options, to have, JP and Marshall and Josh. But I'm so glad that Marshall stood firm on what he wanted. He
Right.
didn't approach it like, well, whatever you want to do. Kind of how Bliss approached Zach, but that's totally different.
Right.
However, Bliss just like let him make that decision, whereas Marshall was like, I'm your decision.
Yes.
We're leaving here together. It's
Yes.
like, okay, the confidence, because what if she was really feeling Josh? But clearly she liked that, and he got to know her well enough to know that she would like that.
Right. And I I have a couple funny quotes from them when they met after the proposal. She says, if he's ugly, we'll have to work through that. But I know my man is fine.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if she has a peg leg, solid gold tooth, eye patch, and I'm like, why why a pirate? Like so if she's a pirate, that was an
Lives on
offensive
a
too.
boat,
Yeah, so
sailed here.
she says all this stuff about like, oh, it doesn't matter what he looks like, and she's like, but if he has halitosis, that's a deal breaker because you got to live with that forever.
Right. Yes, I thought it was interesting too that her Roomba is named Marshall.
Yes, they bond
Do
over
you,
that.
do you do you own a Roomba?
I do not own a
Oh,
Roomba.
okay.
Is that a thing where people name their Roombas usually?
Yeah, so I have a
Okay.
Roomba and its name is Chives.
Chives?
Yeah.
Why chives?
I don't know. Me and my roommate just like, Chives is fitting. It's like Chives just cleans up and the place is spotless.
I like that. I like that. I
Yeah.
have like a weird thing where if I have to name stuff, like when I name my Pokemon when I play the
Mhm.
games, or anything else, I have a tendency to name everything Murph. I don't know why, but it's like so if I had a Roomba, I bet its name would be Murph because that's just what I end up doing.
Hey,
So
keep a lookout
for
go
any
on
Murphs,
Facebook and
yeah,
type Murph.
Murphies, yeah. Let's see what
See
we
what
got.
comes up.
Comes up. Um, let's see. And then of course, we have Jackie's breakdown in Mexico. I feel like it was a little bit disjointed in the editing. It seems like there's something going on back at home that she's a little stressed out about, and is everything is just sort of hitting her about how great things are going in Mexico versus how she thinks things might change when she gets home. Is that the impression you got, or is there more I missed?
Yeah, it was like she felt like she was in this fairy tale,
Hmm.
and then reality sunk in that, like, okay, it's not going to be like this forever because I know what my situation is back home, and thinking that, because and thinking that, okay, it's all going to change when we get back home and reality hits us. But then I was just like, okay, I was toying with, is this self-sabotage,
Interesting.
or is it her just being real and like thinking, hey, I need to be completely honest with you about what we're going to be walking into when we get back. So I'm glad that they were able to recover from it. And I
Yes.
also, 10 out of 10, the way he handled this. He like gave her space. He was there for her. He was supportive, but did never made her feel like she was going through this alone.
Hmm.
He gave her a second and then came back. He wasn't too pushy. Oh, I was just like, am I in love with this man?
So the second that she starts crying, my brother says, "Oh, watch. This is the part where you get to like Marshall." And I'm like, "Oh, I already do like Marshall. I love Marshall." And then he's like, "Yeah, but this is where you really get to love Marshall."
That's
I just have so
hilarious.
many quotes from my brother. He's just like, everything he says is perfect. As my brother says, he's like, Marshall is kind of the perfect person. We should all aspire to be Marshall.
Exactly. And
Yes.
that's why, like, and we can see that how amazing he is. And that's why
Yes.
my biggest concern about their relationship as a whole is that she sees that and doesn't let it, and I guess what she's used to dating,
Mhm.
I guess from like a physical standpoint,
Six
doesn't
five neck tats.
overshadow the man that she has gotten to know.
Right. Uh, yeah, I feel like first off, I'm nervous that I'm putting Marshall on a pedestal, and we're gonna find out that he does something terrible in the next episode. I'm nervous about that. I mean, it might break my brother's heart, but it's gonna crush him. He's like our hero. But yeah, I don't know. Uh, I feel like the way he handled this situation hopefully shows me that, like, if there's a similar breakdown or a different type
Mhm.
of breakdown, that they'll be able to get past that one.
Yeah.
I kind of like that this happened here as opposed to right when they get home, because I think we usually see this type of thing, the nervousness about how will you fit in with my family, what will people
Mhm.
think, my life, etc. Normally that kind of all hits right when we get home, but the fact that they include that in the honeymoon stage, it might sort of break the fall a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that can happen. Yeah, I'm I'm nervous, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, same. Because it can really overshadow what you're currently experiencing if you're constantly thinking about what you want. Like she said, I'm used to a 6'5", tatted, athletic. And she even admits she would have swiped left had she come across Marshall.
Right.
And that's just like, it's honest, but it's also a little nerving because, okay, that may be true. But moving forward, is it going to be a situation where you can't get past that?
Right.
Like, I don't want him to get stuck in the friend zone ultimately.
If he
'Cause,
does,
I
move
mean,
move to the East Coast. Come on.
because we even saw, like, we saw on the preview where she say it or he said, like, we're not having sex?
I think it was her.
Either way, whoever said it, like, that's the reality, and they haven't. I just don't want them to hit that barrier because he's so sweet.
Are they now, not to get too much into it, but do we know the status of their physical relationship as of these 5 episodes?
I don't believe that she said or that he said during these 5 that they had been intimate.
Okay.
We know that Brett and Tiffany had. We know that Kwame
Chelsea and
and
Kwame. Yeah.
Chelsea, but that's it.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 confirmed coituses that we got. Um, I did also love her, "I'd give you a kiss, but I've been eating a lot of shrimp," and then he kissed her anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
she's
Yeah,
so
they
she's so real, like, she just says everything. Oh, wait, hold on. No, wait. There was something with them. Oh, I thought I wrote it down. Was it them or was it someone else? I thought it was them where he said, "Do you wanna wait until marriage?" And then she was like, "Why would I wanna do that?"
yeah.
I think that was them. Her
She was
expression
like,
was like, "I've never heard of anyone doing that before."
she's like, where is that coming from? She said, "Would you buy a car without test driving it?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
she's
that is the
she's just so funny in the way that she says
metaphor
things.
people love to use.
And of course, the other gem was when she has after all the couples meet each other in Mexico, she has a confessional where she's sitting by the pool. I've already seen it like screen capped a couple times. It's great. And she's like, Zach is a weirdo who needs to stay 6 feet away at all times. And Irina is a peasant who does weird things for no reason. I like what she
Yeah.
says. She's a peasant. And I don't mean like in Victorian era, like peasant. I mean like a girl who does weird things for no reasons.
I'm like, thanks for clarifying.
My favorite part of it is that the next scene, they zoom out and you see that Marshall is like 20 feet away in the pool. Like he
Mhm.
was clearly there listening to that when she was doing the confessional. Like, it's not like
Mhm.
he wasn't there. She's just
Right.
shouting all of this across the pool.
He's
It
just
was
like
great.
doggy paddling next to her,
Yeah, I
just
love it.
watching.
I love it.
Yeah.
I yeah. They're my my TV gold, at least because they've got a little bit more intrigue than Brett
Mm-hmm.
and Tiffany, but I still really like them both.
Yeah, yeah. Like individually for sure. I'm just still they make me nervous moving forward together about their compatibility.
Yes.
And I I do want I know like she is funny. And we do have some real life mean girls here in comparison. So I just wonder what that's gonna be like. Cause I raised an eyebrow when Chelsea was confiding in her, and then Chelsea swapped out with Micah, and then she
Yeah.
was talking about Chelsea. I was like, "Oh."
That one did throw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like she says something like, "Don't you think if Micah wanted Kwame that she would just have it?" It was something like that.
Mhm. Like she could
And
have him. Yeah. It's like,
right.
ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think but we do have other mean girls who are just blowing her out of the water. So I was just like, something slight.
Jackie is more real than me. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is everybody knows that Micah was the one who said no to Kwame. So,
Mhm.
literally, she could have
Yeah.
had Kwame if she wanted to. So,
Yeah.
she's only saying facts.
That is how it played
That is
out.
what happened.
Um, on the preview we did for the next batch, episodes 6 through 8, we did see that Josh is back talking to Jackie.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think
no. No.
yeah, it was like one of those group things. They're at a bar, and Josh is sitting there with her, and he was just like, like, do you? It was something about her decision. Like, do you think you made the right
But
decision?
we saw what's his name?
Nancy and
Nancy
Andrew.
and Andrew could not remember his name. Yes, we saw
Yes.
that, and that turned out to be nothing.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true. So I don't think
Wonder
it's
where
anything too concerning.
wonder what he's up to now. Wonder if he wasn't an after the altar, so
Right. Yeah.
we don't know.
He's off living his best life, taking nice pictures. Um, but yeah, I mean, anything else from Jackie and Marshall from this week?
Not yet. I have high hopes. I'm nervous. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, well, so I guess it's obvious with um well, we'll get into that at the end, our predictions for what we
Yes,
think.
yes, I've
Okay.
got it. I've got it ready to
Yes.
be written down. I got my little notepad out.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the it's like we have like a trilogy of drama,
Yeah.
right?
Weird love triangular situation.
Yes, yes. So, okay. Let's talk about Kwame and Chelsea.
Chelsea seems mature and normal, and I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why Kwame was like what it was about Micah that Kwame felt like he wasn't going to be able to get from Chelsea. I I think there's always people on these dating shows, especially like The Bachelor, where you see them and you go, they're attractive, they seem to be here for the right reasons, they seem serious, they seem dedicated, they're giving you uh, assurance.
Mhm.
It's like it's the safe bet, but it's not like you're not settling for anything. They're a they seem to be a great person.
Mhm.
It's not like they're, "Oh, everything seems nice, but I'm not attracted to them." Like, no, it's like they seem pretty great. But then the person always wants to go for the dramatic option or difficult option or person who is clearly not as mature or ready to settle down or whatever the thing is. And on these shows we're always screaming and we're like, if you actually wanted to find marriage and to find love, like you would go for this for option A, but why do you keep going for option B? And that's the thing that I know there's probably reasons we just from the show have not been able to figure out what it is about Micah that Kwame is like that she was his number one opposed to Chelsea.
I think it was a matter of Micah was giving him just enough. Like it's like
Play the
she was
game.
like a mystery for him.
Mm,
He's like, he probably thought she sounded attractive, and it was just like, oh, I want to know more. I want to know more. And I'm not getting that validation. So then like it makes me want that validation. Like if I can get there, then like I'm all in. It's just it I don't want to say wanting what you can't have, but in this situation it kind of is, because she didn't want him in the pods at least. But I think, because the fact that he was so heartbroken when Micah breaks up with him, it's just like, Kwame. Like he said, it's been 6 days. And I think they only have 10 days in the pods. I think if you are that devastated over a person, you need to go home. I understand the drama of the show, it's entertainment. But you've made it past the halfway point and you're that heartbroken from a breakup. You're not recovering and moving on to the next person. You're settling for the next person so you can meet that person you were devastated on over. It's so annoying.
If I it's like the age-old question with these shows. Can you fall in love with multiple people at the same time? To which I would say you can definitely probably develop feelings for multiple people at the same time if you let yourself. I don't think you can have the same level of. There's always going to be a hierarchy, right? There's always going to be a first choice and a second choice.
Mm-hmm.
And Kwame and Chelsea, it was very clearly his second choice. I'm just looking at their ages again. Kwame, 33. Chelsea, 31. Micah, 27. Kwame. What? They're all beautiful people on this show. It's not like we've really yet to see on this show, like, oh my gosh, we had a connection, but turned out there's the model versus the whatever. Like, that was the other person I want to say my brother was like all in on. He was like, Chelsea. He's like, oh, Chelsea is like, she's like a model. Like, she's like up here compared to
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think he said Tiffany was his second favorite though. So shout out, give my brother some props. He's got good taste.
Okay, Dave.
But,
Shout out to Dave.
Dave's favorite people: Marshall, Big Gap, Chelsea, and Tiffany. Yeah, but I feel like with the Kwame and Chelsea thing, I know I'm just like talking in circles. I think that I agree with you. If you're so upset about the Micah thing, you need to go home. Now, I'm sure that the producers want to see the eventual meetup of Micah and Kwame. They want him to stay on the show. For Chelsea's sake, I hope that she is not. I don't think that she's like blind to the fact that she was kind of his second choice. I think she's just trying to sort of make the best of it.
Right.
But yeah, so do we want to get into the whole big meetup drama, or do you have something else?
Well, first I want to get into a little bit of Kwame.
Okay.
But I will say this decision, and the way that it plays out really reminds me of Bartiz, Amber, and what was her name? She was with Mark. She let her dog drink her wine.
Jessica. Yeah, from season 1.
This really reminds me of that situation where Jessica had no business getting engaged to Mark.
Right.
She after being so upset about Bartiz not choosing her.
Right.
Not Bartiz, Barnett. So this bar. Okay. So with Kwame, us learning that he almost went by Alex instead of Kwame. That was very interesting. Because I was it Chelsea that said that first name is actually Alex?
Chelsea said,
because she said when he proposed to her again after the reveal, like after their reveal, she said his full name.
I don't think his first name was. I thought she said
started with Kwame.
It was like one of those like 5-part names. She knew his whole name,
right? And then I was like, okay,
I missed if it was Alex. I'll have to go check that.
because I
I'll
was like,
verify that. You keep talking.
okay. So I was thinking, okay, let me not be too harsh on him, but it's giving, that lack of self-love. I feel like take away the cheating, but it's giving what SK had desired from his meetup. Um and so it's just I'm not team Kwame. I mean, especially because of how things, what we're about to get into with the group meetup. But I just don't, I'm not getting genuine. He says, I mean, he even tells us he couldn't take his prom date. He couldn't, pick up his prom date because he was Black. That says so much. That says so much with saying so little. Then he says that he feels like he always has to overcompensate to prove his success to people because he feels like they assume that he's not. And it's just like I get a very icky feeling from Kwame. I just don't. I'm not a fan of how of a lot of things that we saw with him. Because you see with Brett doesn't have to overcompensate. He has that quiet confidence. Like, this man is an executive at Nike, and purely from his artistic abilities. And he just dropped that very subtly to Tiffany. It wasn't like if he was Kwame, he would have been, oh yeah. As you know, I've done all of these things. So it's just very hard for me to see Kwame as genuine because of a lot of what we saw. And then Bliss, which, love her name, by the way. Never heard of anyone named Bliss.
Okay.
I love that name.
I have to pause. I have to pause on the Bliss thing. I don't know if this is going to strike a chord with anyone, but I recently read a book where the main character's name was Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's be honest. It wasn't a book. It was a Twilight fan fiction. But
You read some research articles.
I think it has gotten published. But like it's so loosely fiction because she doesn't even go by Bella. She goes by Bliss. Anyway, I could not stop thinking about that the whole time that I was thinking about Bliss, because that's the only other time when I've heard that, and I'm like, oh no, it's a real Bliss.
I love that name. I'm gonna put it in my notes.
Please reach out to me if you know what I'm talking about. It's a very popular fan fiction, so let me know if anybody has read and knows what I'm talking about, and please tell me. I want to know if there's any overlap in these Love is Blind circles.
I used to read Degrassi fan fiction. But yeah, so with Bliss, she was not lying when she said to Zach, you deciding to pick Irina tells me so much about you, which is how I feel with Kwame having Micah as his first choice. It's because we're like, what are you clinging on to? Like, what all she's doing is telling you not to fall in love with someone else while she's prioritizing Paul. And so it's just I mean, I don't know. I feel like I may be going in circles, but that if anybody out there, if you have a more eloquent way to frame how I feel about Kwame, reach out to me. Let me know.
I need to know why Mari has given her snap judgments and does not include Marshall in any of this. Oh, it's on the first episode. I don't think Marshall was really in the first episode.
Yeah, no, they really didn't highlight them until episode 2.
Yeah. Mari Fourth, by the way. Everybody go follow Mari for
Yeah, if you're not, what are you doing? Go pause this right now and go follow at Mari Talks Too Much.
Yeah. So is there anything that Kwame can do to turn it around for you?
For one, I think he needs to prioritize his relationship, focus on his relationship. I think it'll be very telling too when he meets her family. Because if you are putting on this front, then it's going to be very hard for her to really get to know you. He's one of those guys that just like chooses his words very carefully, because he feels like he always just has to say the right thing. You know what I mean? Or what he thinks is the right thing, what he thinks you want to hear. And it's just like, no, this is all fluff. But
I think it's the thing that's most interesting is that he's with Chelsea, because I think her personality isn't gonna she's not gonna let his BS slide. Like, I think she will leave him before he hurts her, or you know what I mean, like before he
gets a chance to.
Yes. So yeah.
So we had this group meetup, which was just like, okay, this was interesting, because going into this, he tells Chelsea, hey, are you going to be okay if I talk to Micah? Like, I do need to talk to her. And I was like, okay, this is kind of a first, because we've seen before people that need to meet because they had such a strong connection in the pod, but them not have those conversations with their partner beforehand to kind of get that out there. And so I'm thinking of like Jarrett and Ayana.
Yes.
And so for him to put that out there, I was like, oh, that's big of him. Maybe he's just like, he just wants to close that door because he's being so upfront. But no, did he fool me? Because he was having these confessionals as if Chelsea will never see this. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm attracted to her. I'm attracted to Micah. I'm sorry. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm attracted to her.
Okay. Can we talk about the meetup now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So I don't know if this is like, maybe I'm just too like locked down on the whole fiance engagement marriage thing, but I have some pretty strong opinions about, like, if you're in a monogamous relationship, if you're in an open relationship, whatever, do whatever you want. But if you're in a monogamous relationship where both people, or at least one person, is like, this is monogamous, this is what we're doing, you need to draw boundaries with other previous partners, potential partners, like all of that. And even like close friends. Like, I have like my male friends who then get engaged and married. I know, even if I was his friend first, that there is now another person in your relationship that takes precedent over my friendship with them. And that's not really, this is not like super, brain science kind of news. But
yeah.
So at this pool party, when they all meet up, we know, based on the structure of this show, that we're going to have reactions and you're going to have feelings to seeing the people, not only that you said no to, but like, he said yes to Micah. She said no to him.
Right.
So that's his first choice over there. He's going to have a reaction. He's going to want to talk to her. I really appreciated the fact that he told Chelsea beforehand that he was going to talk to her, and that she was like, yeah, sure, do whatever. Like, I'm comfortable in our relationship. Great on that. But then once they do talk, it's all about the chips and guac, you know what I mean? It's like Chelsea is swimming in the pool and she's like, oh, once you're done with that conversation, can you get me some chips and guac? And he says yes, but then he kind of doesn't, and she gets tired of waiting and she goes and gets it, whatever. At the same time, Irina, who we haven't talked about a lot yet, but you saw the episodes, she's just trying to stir up trouble at all moments. I think specifically she hears Chelsea do that, and she is probably whispering to Micah, like, what if we ask him to go get us something? Because, like, that'll prove whether or not he likes you more than Chelsea. Why are you trying to play with this? This guy is in a relationship. So unnecessary. So Irina and Micah, like teenagers, are like, hey, get us shots, and he is like, no, get yourself some, which I was like, okay, check for Kwame, good answer, that's a good one. But then they get up, they're like teasing him, sort of flirting with him, like, oh, let's let's get shots together. Let's do this. And I couldn't tell if he actually does this shot because right before he does or right around
No,
that
he
time,
doesn't. He doesn't.
he doesn't do it. That's when Micah is like, shots for failed engagement or failed proposal, which hurts him, obviously. And so far we're like, okay, Kwami's handling everything like pretty good. Like, yeah, we'll give him a pass for like thinking that Mike is attractive, whatever. You're gonna have those thoughts, those feelings, that's fine. But then he calls her out on that, tells her it was really messed up what she did.
And that's
And
where it should have ended.
and that's where it should have ended. But instead, and partially because I think even before that, when they had first met, Micah's like, me and Chelsea weren't that close, but like, I want to tell you, I really think she's genuine. I'm really happy for you. That's great. Check, check on Micah. But then she says, and I'm always here for you. I have so much love for you. You can come and talk to me about whatever. No, you can't. He has a fiance. You are no longer allowed to go to be his confidant. You don't get to be his confidant. You shouldn't offer it. You shouldn't want to be it. He should not take you up on that, in my personal opinion. So, and that's where when she's like sitting down and just over and over, she's like, I have so much love for you. I'm always here for you. I have so much love for you. Stop. You don't no, stop having love for him. You don't need to have love for him. I know that you feel bad because you broke up with him. And I don't really think Mike is having second thoughts about Kwame necessarily. I hard to tell. Like, I don't know. I think it's more Irina trying to like stir things up. Like, I think Irina would like Micah to get with Kwame so that can open up Paul, but that's a whole other thing.
The right pieces have to move to get all the right people
Right.
together in
But
Irina's mind.
Chelsea, of course, upset about this, mostly upset with the fact that it's fine that you went and you talked to her. It's fine that, all this happened. It's not okay that you then spent the next 20 something minutes talking with her and laughing and giggling. And also too much touching. Stop touching his face. Stop touching his abs. Stop touching his knee. Stop with the touching, people.
They are way
Not okay.
too close. It was even in that first conversation where she's like, "Oh, with me, I'm having a really hard time with Paul, and, like connecting, the physical to what I met in the pods, but you fit like a glove."
And I get that, like, I get the point of the show. It's a show. I get that they've only been dating for a couple days and I get that, all of that. And so you're gonna, like, logically in the real world, if it's only been a couple days and you had been dating two people, it's understandable that your mind might go back and forth. But if we're talking about like the pretend structure of the show where they are now like actually engaged and this is their fiance and it's like serious, if that is the mindset we're going with, which I think is what Chelsea's mindset is, then this is not okay. And you shouldn't do that. You're not on Love Island. You're on this show. So
that's what I feel like the scenario was. Like, they both ideally wanted to be on a show like Love Island,
where you get
and
to date
then
multiple people. Yeah.
yeah, Love is Blind is coming to Seattle. That I'll do that. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But that's fine as long as we can get past the pods. I can get somebody to somebody to
Yeah,
somebody to propose.
Sorry, Asia's dogs are popping off. Cinnamon and Pepper are, I'm sure they're fine.
Right. They were just very upset about the way that people handle this show.
Exactly.
Like,
They're
take it
upset
more
too.
seriously.
Yes. Are they Chelsea fans?
They are Chelsea fans. They, of course, Brett, Tiffany,
Right. Yes. But
they
in
really
this
like
love triangle.
Marshall. But, they don't bark at the screen when Chelsea. It's a pleasant viewing experience.
Yes.
But when they see Irina, barks galore.
I think that's also, just to bring him up again, the reason why my brother is so invested in this season. We didn't mention it yet, but except for when you just did. Yeah, it's these people are from Seattle, and that's where my brother lived the last like 4 years. So I'm excited for hopefully in the next drop where he gets to tell us, "Oh, I've been to that restaurant or I've been to that place."
Yeah, we need that. We need these reference points.
Yes. I know you had it last season and last
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and then so when Chelsea and Kwame continue this conversation back at the I don't know,
Back at the
apartment,
villa,
hotel, at the villa,
back in
wherever
their
they are.
hotel room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wherever they are. I liked a lot of the things she said where she was just being very like blunt about it. And he's like, well, but you have these feelings. You can't just turn them off. And she's like, no, you can. Like, it's
That you
time.
do.
You don't get to act on them anymore. You have a fiance. You don't just get to have those combos. Like, I think people have gotten so used to, especially on these dating shows, feeling like, well, I'm entitled to exploring whatever feelings and doing whatever things I want to in those moments. And I think the structure of a lot of the shows that are about dating lots of people and stuff, that makes sense. But that's not technically the point of this show. I mean, it's like, I think the producers, they want a little bit of that, add some drama, but like under the guise of, well, these are supposed to be successful marriages. That's not actually what you're
Mhm.
supposed to be doing. And I like that she says, do you feel like you had closure tonight? And when he says no, she's like, what do you need to make out with her to test the waters? Is that what you're saying? Because that's not okay. And when he says that no, he would not have rather been with Micah, he would have rather been with her, she says, okay, then you need to walk away and let it go.
That's the answer.
Like, you don't, when you pick a person to marry, barring special circumstances, the point is that you then stop looking. You don't explore other
Yeah.
options. You're done. That's what you chose, you know? Otherwise,
Isn't that
okay, if you wanna explore other, you get divorced, then that's what you do.
Yeah. Isn't that what people say? People try to say, like, you're single until there's a ring on your finger. Well, there is a ring on Micah's finger. They're not officially
Right.
married yet, but they have made the commitment, like, hey, we're gonna, and I know this is Love is Blind. I know this is Netflix reality. However, it just sucks when there are people's feelings involved in this situation. Chelsea, who is the innocent bystander, like she was into Kwame since the beginning. So this isn't like something new for her. But Kwame should have been real about the he was boo-hoo crying when Micah dumped him. Like, hand in arms, boo-hoo crying. It was like, you're heartbroken. That looks to me like the type of guy that needs to go pack his bags and go home. You can revisit this in Seattle when y'all do the
Mhm.
group meetups. You can talk to her then,
You can
but
be
you
a
don't
pod
need
friend.
you can be a pod friend. You can be part of the pod squad, have your name show up, but you don't need to be going and proposing to someone else,
Yep.
hurting her feelings. Because the way he was giggling, talking to Micah at this pool, the way that he was just like constant eye contact, the way that after their first conversation, he hugged her and then proceeded to talk to Brett about how it felt to hold her. Like, it's so out of line and so disrespectful to Chelsea. Chelsea
And
is 2 feet away.
like, when you have Marshall and Brett talking about, you know, guys like us, like, we need to learn to be more open with our feelings and have these conversations, we don't get to normally do that. Love that. Kwame, that doesn't mean you get to then talk about how you really liked the hug with Mike. That's not what we're talking about.
Right?
We're talking about emotional what are you doing? And this isn't even like I mean, it's sort of like the Cole Zenab Colleen situation, mostly because they were at a pool. But in that situation, you also have Matt being hurt. We don't hear anything from Paul about any of this.
Hmm.
It's like Paul's not even in the picture. Don't know where he was. Um, and it's not like you have, like, Chelsea's very secure in herself. It seems like she's not like, you have Irina and Micah being like, well, maybe she's jealous. She's not jealous. She's saying this is not okay. I'm
Yeah,
not
this
going
is
to be in
my
a relationship with someone.
relationship.
Like,
Yeah.
this is disrespectful. It doesn't have anything to do with jealousy, like,
Hmm.
Chelsea is not over here being told by Kwame that he's not attracted to her, or that he prefers Micah or whatever. And I'm trying to figure this out because I don't personally see it, but I could see that maybe Kwame's like, he likes the sort of like the very bubbliness, flirtiness, jokiness that Micah brings. Like, I could see how you can find that really appealing, and like that it's there's a lot of infatuation there, right?
Yes, yes.
Whereas Chelsea is definitely a little more on the serious side, even though like she is very open and bubbly and happy with everything, but you just gotta pick, and then just like you can't be playing the middle, not when there's fiancés
Exactly.
involved.
Yeah, pick a lane. And I think he's trying to ride the middle, and I think he's thinking, "Oh, this is me having, maybe if I have a for him to say like he didn't have 100% closure. He's just like, if he has a few more conversations with Micah. No, not when you are thoroughly enjoying those conversations, still in the back of your mind thinking, did you make the right choice? And it's not even, and it wasn't even his choice, but thinking, did Micah make the right choice? You're still considering yourself as part of the equation with total disregard to Chelsea. And not to mention, this all happened after him and Chelsea were intimate.
Yes.
So how does that feel to Chelsea? Like, I have been completely vulnerable with you, and you're googly eyed over at Micah in Aysha. Like, I can see you. I can see you fully engaged. You haven't even talked to me at the pool like that. We have not even had a conversation like that. But you can't get yourself like out of the just out of Micah's gaze. It's just like, come on. It's just disrespectful.
And the closure thing. I think people talk about closure like they think if they just talk enough that their feelings will change. The only thing that Kwame and Michael talking to each other more is going to result in is Kwame liking Micah more and thinking that there's a chance with him. You're not
Literally.
going to all of a sudden change your mind. I mean, unless she continues to say out of pocket things like she did about cheers to a failed proposal. Like that actually seemed to rile him up. But I think he was more mad because he was like sad about the scenario
Right.
and embarrassed than he was like actually thinking that she said something mean. Like he immediately let it slide that it was a mean thing she said. He didn't even connect like, oh, if she's saying mean things like that, then maybe she's not, she's not the perfect person that I think of her as. Like there's a lot of with Zach and Kwame both giving passes to and excuses for the women who are saying rude things to and about them.
Yeah.
And just like so I feel like he really needs to get his act together to make me happy about this, but I'm just going to continue to root for Lug, but
And
I
it's
am
almost
skeptical.
yeah. Well, here's another thing that I'm trying to figure out who said it. So in reference to him singing in the pod.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Let's not. Let's not. If you're not, even Sal was, at least he could carry a note. The fact that Kwame and Zach decided, I am going to sing even though I can't hear that pitch. I don't know where it's at. I can't find it for the life of me, but I'm gonna get these words out. No. Stop. You're not wooing anybody. Put the mic down. Just play a nice little instrumental. If you can play guitar, play that. That's it. Oh, it was at Ange tweets.
I was going to say,
Petition to stop the men from singing on this show.
yes.
Please, please.
Thank you to Ange for saying that. Yeah, we released a tweet. So if anyone has any thoughts that they would like to give us on this batch of episodes or the next, please tweet at either Frail Mary or Asia like Asia to let us know your thoughts. Because thank you, Ange, for bringing that back up. I had blocked that out of my. I'm not gonna lie. Look, I try to cover this show. I fast forwarded through quite a lot of Zach singing. I thought it was going to be like 30 seconds. It was like 3 minutes. It was too long.
It was like a verse, a chorus, a verse. Let's add in a bridge for funsies.
Too much.
Way too much.
And I understand that on these shows they can't sing a real song. They have to like make something up so that it's not copywritten. Remember what I said earlier about Netflix picking songs that they put on their shows? Choose one of those. Like ask what songs that they're allowed to sing from that. Don't make up your own song. Don't try to rhyme pod with bod and like, oh no, 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 no.
Oh, that was
Is
yeah,
it
that was a lot.
Have you ever seen someone play an instrument and sing? No, I'm not even gonna give them that, because you know what? I've seen some great pianists from times to time. Have you ever seen someone grab a stringed instrument, guitar, ukulele, banjo, and sing you a song, and you or someone a song, and you're like, yes, this is romantic, this is what I want? Best case scenario, they do it for about 10-15 seconds and it's cute. It's gotta be short and sweet, because the second it gets past like 30 seconds, even if they're good, it's like, what do I do? Do I like clap? Do I stand here? Like, do I sing along? Like, do I dance? What do I do? At least these women were on the other side of a wall and they could do whatever
Yeah.
they want. They could fall asleep, they could take a drink,
Mhm.
play some beer pong that they had set up. In real life, whew,
You know how much he probably wished he could have sung to Micah? That's probably all he was thinking was, "I wish
oh
this was
no.
Micah on the other side."
He's like, "Oh shoot, I have this word that rhymes with Micah. How do I change it to rhyme with Chelsea?" No.
Chelsea-ka.
Yeah. And look, I'm not trying to hate. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who can play great instruments. Just don't do it on TV, because it's never going to be as good as you think it is. In real life, if you are in love and you actually have even a little bit of musical talent, go for it. You know, I'm concerned, because I know my brother's going to listen to this. David, you're doing great at the ukulele. Please, like, keep it up. He doesn't sing with it though. He just plays the ukulele. And that, you know
See?
what?
That could have been
Instrumental.
great.
Instrumental. Let's just do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I just feel like ultimately with Kwame and Chelsea, he shouldn't have chosen her. I think that it's going to only hurt her in the long run, and it's only buying him time to be in proximity to Micah. And because at this point it was a lot of Chelsea validating Kwame and how she felt about him. And then he's just like, well, yeah, I do have her here who likes me a lot. Might as well. So I'm just really hoping she doesn't get hurt in the process, but it just feels like all roads are leading to that.
It does. It does feel like that. And I think that she will be fine.
I
She
hope
seems
so.
she seems strong. She seems, you know.
She can stay. Yeah, she can stand on her own 2 feet. It's. I thought it was sweet that she brought that baby blanket. It's like I
Oh,
don't have anything like that.
you don't?
Not a baby
Okay.
blanket. No, I have sentimental picture blankets where that I've gotten like in recent, like in the past
Oh,
decade. You know, like pick like one
like
that I
where they
always use on my couch. Like my brother got me one year for Christmas, like maybe 10 years, more than 10 years ago, of just pictures of us throughout our life. It's my favorite blanket. It's a quilt. It's very comfortable.
that sounds cute. I also really identified with this here, because I had a baby blanket that I slept with my whole life up until, I don't know, I think it was like midway through college when I realized, like, it was like that. It was like ratty, like torn apart.
Mhm.
I don't know how, like, fabric just falls apart, because I didn't like snuggle with it exactly. I would just sort of like tuck it into a little ball and then prop my head up on it.
Mhm.
And what's funny about it is I was like, "Oh, I'm in college now. I'm an adult. So I'm not going to sleep with it anymore." I know I still
Mhm.
kept it in my bedside table. And then I went and bought the exact same one that I found on eBay. So I put it in a little bag, and I'm like, one day I'll give this to my child. This brand
Aw.
new, pristine one. I
Yeah.
don't know where mine is right now, my baby blanket, but I'm sure it's somewhere in a closet probably. But what's weird about it is that I just got a t-shirt, like a soft t-shirt, and I still prop that up and stick it under my head. So I'm like, I should have just
Mhm.
used the baby blanket. Like, who am I? You know, Kwame didn't judge. So props for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That was very it was very intentional. She's just like she wants that security in this
Yes.
new situation. So I thought that was sweet because I was like, I want something like that I've kept for 30 years. But anything else on Kwame and Chelsea before we move to the other part of this? More details on
Yeah.
Micah.
Not yet. I did
Okay.
wonder how They go on the cacao date
Yeah, it was like a cacao ceremony,
ceremony,
maybe. Yeah.
and I do wonder when you see these dates, do they get like a list that they get to pick from? Are they assigned? Because it always seems like some people get the, like, super fun ones, and then some people get the, like, kind of, like, more spiritual ones, or there's always, like a massage and stuff, but they all
Mm-hmm.
seemed a little more even this time, but I definitely think Marshall and, not Tiffany, what is her name? Jackie, their date where they just, like, got to go to a market and a restaurant, like, that would be the one that
Yeah.
I would probably want the most.
I really liked Paul and Micah's date on the like the not the four-wheeler, but they
Or,
were
like, the
riding.
ATV of some sort. Yeah,
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 that thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that did
seemed
look fun
fun.
too. I would not wanna go on a boat, I don't think.
Oh, I've never been on like a yacht like that. I thought that was cool. I think it'd be cool to do at least once.
I'm just
Just
worried that
lay
I would
out.
be like, "Oh, I'm sick, and now we now I'm on film." Like, I just think that could be bad.
Yeah, but yeah, with this cacao ceremony, they said it made them feel closer, but I'm like, actions. I'm sure. I'm sure it made you feel like that in the moment. I just need you to see Micah again and not act so out of pocket. Because now at this point, I
Mhm.
just don't trust you, Kwame. I
Right.
feel like you just had Micah is just has a permanent residency in your brain. And
Yes.
you are just when you're with Chelsea, you're with Chelsea. But as soon as Micah is in the picture, it's just like, oh, the one that got away. But is she away? I don't know. She's still right here in arm's reach.
She's not far enough
Uh,
away yet. The
Yeah,
one downside to having everybody be in the same city.
exactly. And on the same show.
Yes.
So which couple do you want to talk about next?
Alright, let's see. We're close to the end here where we've still got a lot of hot messes all around. I guess since we brought up Micah a lot, let's talk about Paul and Micah.
Yeah, I okay, well, for starters, do you understand why Micah chose Paul over Kwame?
No, we were not shown it. It
Yeah.
feels like she was leaning so far towards Kwame, and then all of a sudden chose Paul.
Mhm.
I I have no idea. I could not tell you. Paul
It's almost
seems
like let's go after who wants me the least. Okay, Kwame wants me too much. Let me go after Paul. Kwame's like, Chelsea wants me too much. Let me go after Micah. And then even Zach. Ooh, Bliss is all in. Let me go with Irina. Um, yeah, I was really confused. Like, what was it about Paul that really locked her in to make that choice? It almost was as if with Chelsea, she didn't see Chelsea as a threat. Like she knew Kwame was not choosing Chelsea over her. But with Paul, she was like, he could choose Amber over me. So
interesting.
maybe I should go with him. That way he breaks it off. He breaks it off with Amber, then it's like I'm his number one choice. It's almost like a game.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I I definitely would not, be surprised if it was a a game-like scenario,
Mm-hmm.
like a yeah, it's sort of like the chase kind of thing, right? Like picking the person who maybe you thought was
Mm-hmm.
more difficult. It definitely felt like Micah just really wanted 2 people to like her, and they did,
Yeah.
and she wanted to
And
have the
she wanted
power
them
of choosing.
both
Yeah.
to be all in.
What do you think of Paul in
I
general?
was just about to say that. Like I don't know how to feel about Paul. I thought it was very quirky of him. Like he's a scientist and he's just like thinking through the mechanics of this whole experiment and couldn't
Mhm.
find any holes. It's like, Paul, I'm not a scientist and I can find plenty of holes. So
What are you a scientist of, Swiss cheese? Because this is not mm-mm.
right. I'm like the holes are evident.
The
But
science ain't sciencing for that
right,
scene.
exactly. I mean, he is an environmental scientist, so it's a little bit different. So
So we couldn't see any environmental holes in this
right.
experiment.
The environment works. The pod situation, that's comfortable. But it's he said it's almost like adding a barrier eliminates a barrier.
Paul seems what is the nicest way? Inoffensive.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing about him that I thought was particularly shocking or negative or positive or he's like right in the middle. Like I like Paul, I think. He just hasn't been on the show very much. It's odd. It's like in that whole drama we just spent, I don't know, 30 minutes breaking down about the Micah and Kwame situation. Where was Paul? We haven't even gotten his thoughts on it.
Even someone said, "Where is Paul? Doesn't she? She's with Paul. Where is Paul?" They never even panned to where Paul was.
I these are the notes I have about Paul. He really likes Micah's voice. He expected to find flaws in the experiment as a scientist, but hasn't. He says that he has a lot in common with Amber. That's one thing I have written down in the Paul and Micah section was she
Mm-hmm.
asked him about Amber. He then, out of nowhere, realizes he wants to be with Micah. And then she's like, okay, great, you got to go break up with Amber. Then he proposes. That's all the notes. I have 3 times as much notes about Amber and Paul.
Yeah.
Because they talk about Italy. They open up about her last marriage.
He
Okay,
loves who she is.
right. Now, this was the one, I think the one flaw with Amber was that she kind of, I don't know if it was a slip up or a miscommunication. She kind of says, like, maybe she would cheat on her future husband, which was a little bit of a red flag, I think.
I feel like, well, yeah, and that's exactly what he said. A little bit of red flag. I think it was miscommunication only because she was so heavily referencing her past situation and trying to explain it, where Paul is immediately thinking us, right? Based on what's happened to you in your past, how are you feeling about us? But I feel like Amber was so deep in explaining how she would have cheated on her ex because she
Right.
was unhappy and she saw it leading there. But I think what she was ultimately was trying to say was that she wouldn't cheat, but it would be something that she thought could have been on the table with him. But I was just like, yeah, that wasn't a good look with, someone you're trying to get to know and trying to make sure that you are loyal and you
Right.
can be faithful. So I understand why Paul was a little bit off put by it. But I thought it was interesting that he said straight up, that's kind of a red flag.
I all around, whether you like these cast members or not, I'm very appreciative of the directness that they've had so far with calling things
Hmm.
out. We'll get to that more when we get to Zach, but I like that. With Amber, when he does eventually break up with Amber, she says, unlike Kwame, so when Micah says no to Kwame, Kwame just like, okay, I wish you the best, walks out the room. Which my brother was mad about because he was like, I feel like you should have shown some emotion, should have said something. And I said, I feel like if it was me, I would have done the same thing Kwame did. I think I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to even say anything. But I loved the fact that Amber said, I'm not going to wish you the best because
Yeah.
I don't believe in false platitudes or empty platitudes. I'm not going to wish the best. F you. And and I'm not okay with this. I feel like
Hmm.
there's 3 options for the breakup, right? There's the Kwame, the Amber, or the third option, which I think somebody does. I don't remember who. Somebody does. Which is I think it's Bliss maybe does it, which is you sort of try to fight for it. You ask why, you ask questions, you try to fight for
Hmm.
yourself, you try to get them to change their mind. So I think you
Yeah.
either walk away, you get angry, or you try to get them to change their mind and keep fighting. Um, and then we
Or
see
there's the Jackie where you don't even break up with him. You just say, I'm done talking to that person. She said she just realized she just didn't want to talk to Josh anymore.
yeah.
And then he came, and then Marshall came back engaged, and Josh was just kind of looking like, oh, okay.
Okay, I guess that's it. Yeah.
Right.
Um and then the Amber breakup has yet another scene that just really proves to us more about who Micah and especially Irina are.
Just
Amber
mean
comes
girls.
in, she's crying. I can't remember who is comforting her. It may be Chelsea, might be Bliss. It was somebody. she's crying, and Micah and Irina are like giggling and like making fun of her, and then Irina like goes and like hides around the corner and is listening to someone. I just don't know what would possess someone to feel like wanting to laugh and giggle about someone else's pain. Like, okay, you won. Good job. You won.
Mean
Your friend
Girls.
won. But why are you reveling in this? Like, it really just comes across as very, very immature. And I hate to throw ages out there because again, like you you could be young and not do this. This is not a thing that's exclusive to young people or a thing that is guaranteed among young people. But it shows a lack of maturity by far. And like you said, mean girl. Yeah. So
Yeah, they're both very, very, very immature, Irina and Micah. But it just always seemed it was consistent. Anytime anybody was emotional about something that happened in the pods, they were like looking at each other like, what
and
are they? It's as if they thought like, are these people serious? Are they honestly crying about this situation? They did not take this
the
seriously
the
whatsoever.
the whole thing feels like a joke to them. I
Yeah.
mean, even when we get to um Mexico, the whole thing on the pool float where Irina is like, "Oh my gosh, why is Kwame being so mean and salty because he's not getting us shots when we ask for it?" It's like you're what are you like? This is not
Like,
like high
this is
school
the
where you're the girl
point.
with the party. Like what? And I did love that after Irina and Micah were messing with Amber or laughing about the Amber thing, Chelsea walks up to them and is like, "Yeah, this isn't a game."
Yeah.
Like, and she even says, "Usually people who are mean like that are just not secure in themselves."
Yeah.
So,
And she drops the mic because that's literally it.
drops
Paul
the
and
mic
Amber,
up.
yeah, right. Paul and Amber had so much more depth that we at least were shown
Mhm.
to their relationship than Paul and Micah. So, and it did seem like Paul was super torn. He was very torn. Like he didn't know which way to go. And it was in his conversation with Micah that he was just like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. And he just forced himself to make a decision. And so even after proposing, they meet, everything, he's still saying, I don't I don't know if I made the right decision. Even in talking to Zach, he's like, I'm going through that too of thinking about Amber and wondering if I made the right decision. He just made that decision out of just well, what the heck? Let me just choose. It was not a matter of let me weigh my pros and cons and understand who do I seriously see a future with?
I thought
And
you were a scientist.
right. It's as if like his homework was due. It's 11:59 and he's just like, "Oh, okay, whatever. I'm just going to type some more words so he can get it in." Just like
Ridiculous.
just you could take some more time, be a little bit late. They may dock it for being late, but at least you gave your best effort. I firmly believe he made the wrong choice. And I don't know if it was pressure or just a matter of he just happened to be talking to Micah when he felt like he just needed to go ahead and make a choice because the proposals were coming up. But it's just like, how did both mean girls get their way in this situation?
I don't understand.
And maybe
Don't.
we're underestimating the power of the producers.
We're underestimating the power of something. We're underestimating the power of the Mean Girls because there was a part in like episode 1 where it was like a montage of like 5 different guys being like, "Oh yeah, Micah is like my number 1." And I was like, "Really?" Based on what we've seen. I'm not trying to hate on her, like I'm more just trying to say I just don't understand. Because from what
Hmm.
we've seen, it's a lot of playing games and giving sort of non-answer answers to things, and maybe it is just maybe it's just the chase, maybe it's just the, oh, she seems unattainable for whatever reason, so I want to see if I can, you know
Yeah.
be the one to get earn her affection or whatever. I don't
And
know.
it's really hard too with them is that a bulk of the content that we got from Micah was centered around Kwame.
Right.
Like
And yeah,
we
we
got
know
literally
nothing.
3 scenes in Mexico with solely Paul and Micah. And so it's just like, what is their dynamic? What is going on there? Because, she says she finds his dorkiness endearing, but is there substance there? Is there a future there? I just don't know.
Yeah, and then for him, he says he normally goes for the more granola type who brew potions and have
Brew
an herb
potions.
garden. What? Such an interesting. He says, "I don't wanna say witchy, but, they brew potions." And at first, I was like, "What is he talking about?" And then he continued. I'm like, "Okay, I see what you're saying now. I have a picture in my mind now." But he said they brew potions. Like, what are you talking
Yeah. I saw a tweet from Allie Lasher, one of the co-hosts of the Challenge RHAP-Up, who said she wants to figure out a way to meet these girls that brew potions.
Yes. Yes.
It's just like, what is, and because he was trying to really help us understand. And he's just like, that, and he's like, and the way they are matches how they dress. So I think it's just like the style of Micah, and just her, I don't know if it's her personality or just her overall way she presents herself is just completely different from what he usually goes after.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure. We don't get a whole lot about their connection.
Yeah,
Um,
and they weren't intimate.
no,
Um,
they weren't. He
so
wanted to be, but they weren't, which look, I'm not saying you need to hop into bed with someone that you've just met. What I am saying is it's a pretty big sign that maybe you're not attracted to them.
exactly.
I think if
Yeah.
you were attracted to someone, but you didn't want to sleep with them, that's fine. I think we
Mhm.
would at least see more hand holding, kissing, cuddling, like anything,
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
other ways of showing affection, and we're just not seeing that.
Yeah,
So
and I feel like a major piece of them was something like this untold story of a connection between Paul and Irina, because I was just
so
very
funny.
surprised in the group setting, Paul asking Irina, "Oh, like what would you like what did you think about me? Like how in how you like in terms of like what you pictured, like, am I your type?" I'm like, "What is what are we watching?
'Cause I
What
don't
is
think
this?"
did we see them go on dates in the pods?
No,
Paul
it's
and Irina?
just him and Amber and Micah.
I feel like most likely they were just generally talking about, like, "Oh, did you expect Brett to look like that? Did you expect" and going down the line, and then when they got and then we just only saw the part where we got to them. But we'll hear from Irina later that, like, apparently was an extremely passionate, stimulating conversation for her because it changed her whole perspective on everything.
She
Um
felt so comfortable with him. And it's I think it is very telling too if somebody is no one's walking away saying, "Oh, I felt so comfortable and I felt great talking to Brett." Why? Because he's not presenting himself as a single man. They
Right,
know talking to
right.
Brett, this is a friend. This isn't a potential mate.
Mhm.
Mate. What
And
am I
and
saying?
I think Irina sees all of these people as still single, or
Mhm.
at the very least, several of them. I think she is hoping that at this point, at least for the longevity of her presence on the show, that she can get with Paul and that Micah will get with Kwame and that maybe it's just them. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
that. I think that I have been in situations where I'll go on a date and I'll be like, "Man, am I just not attracted to anyone?" And then I'll go to, like, a restaurant and my waiter will be really cute, and I'm like, "Never mind, I'm still attracted to people, just not the people I was going on dates with." And
Yeah.
so I wonder if it was kinda more like that for her, like, maybe she truly was thinking for a hot second at the beginning, Am I not attracted to Zach, or is it something else?" And then she sees Paul and she's like, "Oh, well." And look, not trying to generalize, but at
Mhm.
first I'm looking at Paul and I'm looking at Zach and I'm like, there's a lot of like they're not completely dissimilar. Like really, I can't believe that you'd be head over heels attracted to one of them and then get the complete ick from the other. Like
Right.
there's mannerisms, there's personality, there's lots of stuff. But like they look relatively similar. They're not
They
completely the same,
do. They
but they're like
do.
there's similarities there. So
And it's funny because both these group settings, they were always the ones, Zach and Paul, and then you have
yes,
Kwame and Marshall and Brett. Always just those two groups hanging out, comparing their
people
relationship.
mesh. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, it's really tough to really actually have a strong opinion about Paul and Micah, because the main things we saw about we saw Paul and Amber, and we saw Micah and Kwame, and then by the way, Micah and Paul were the ones that got engaged. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the next batch of episodes to really
Yeah.
see what's gonna blossom with them, because right now I'm just like, how is this a thing?
Irina is messy if she's not only willing to break up other relationships, but also her quote unquote best friends.
That in it, Mean Girls have no loyalty to anybody but themselves. So, what's a friend?
I- Anything else with Paul and Micah, or do we want to
I
talk
think
about
that's it for
Zach and Irene?
them for
Okay.
this week.
Zach, who
Mr. Zach Attack.
we've mentioned Bliss a few times. Bliss was his other option. She seemed, great from everything we saw. I don't know. I would like someone who bakes me cupcakes on my birthday. Thank you very much. Uh,
Bliss is, in my opinion, too good for him.
well, yeah, that's probably true.
She seems amazing. And I think he saw, not even I think, I know for a fact he saw that, because he said, I love how Bliss's mind works. I love the way she thinks. We have such deep conversations. It was all positive. And
G-
then,
Gave her a
uh,
10 on intellect.
yeah, but Irina, she's mature. And, I see some of the qualities why Bliss doesn't like her. But I trust her so much.
With this one, I really can't understand
Yeah.
because it's like with Micah and Chelsea, I can like do some mental gymnastics to be like, I can see maybe why there are qualities that are like very stereotypically like feminine and giggly about Micah that you'd be like, yeah, that like boosts her up a little bit. And again, we don't know all their conversation. Maybe they had some really, really great ones that we didn't see. But with Irina versus Bliss, he's like, I can see that Bliss has this thing. I can't see that Irina does, but I bet it's in there deep down based on nothing. I can see that she did this thing that was kind of a jerk move, but I bet she's got a good heart. And I know her though. Every time Zach talks about her, even like in the proposal, he's like, I know that I can see the core of you that other people just can't see. I haven't even really seen it yet, but I bet it's in there. What why are you picking her over the
Exactly.
person who is clearly got the qualities you're looking for?
I watched these episodes after two of my friends, and so I was kind of like live tweeting, or not live tweeting, like live texting them my thoughts and opinions. And so when we got to the part where Zach was actually trying to consider Bliss or Irina, I text them, I said, if he picks Irina, he does not deserve Bliss. Which
Yes.
was, if he picked, it was like, if he picks Irina, he deserves Irina. And that's what you're gonna get. Because you it was here's a metaphor. It was like he had two options. Here's a delicious pizza. Like, you look at it, you see all the toppings, you want it. It just looks amazing. I
Mhm.
just know when I take a bite into that, I'm going to be happy. And then you have an empty box. It smells really good, and you think something's in there. I trust that something amazing is in there because I smell it. It smells good. So I'm gonna go with the empty box, and he opens it and it's like a candle. And he's like, well, made the wrong choice. Oops. I'm like, the fact that he was so, like, we see the entirety of their relationship in this batch of episodes, and he is just like, well, I made the wrong choice, and That's it. It's just like, yeah.
Uh, the only thing about Bliss that seems that he ends up not liking is she calls him out and says, "Irina has done some messed up stuff, and if you choose her, I'll
Like,
see,
it shows me a lot about you.
I'll question your judgment," basically. And
She
he
was
gets offended
absolutely
by that.
right.
But in the conversation, in the confessional where he's offended about that, he says, "I can see that Irina is immature and plays games and has done some messed up stuff. But man, it bugged me that Bliss said she'd question my judgment if I chose Irina." Look in the mirror, my man. So
Yeah, what did
now,
he say? He said Irina plays what, little girl games or something like that? Can't remember
yes, so
exactly.
you
I
see,
Yeah.
you're putting on the clown makeup. You
Yeah.
know it's coming.
It's
And
right, it's staring you in your face. And it was just I just felt like the choice was clear and evident, but I also think one other thing that made him make this decision was their conversation about her family, and her saying like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. If my parents don't approve of you, it's okay cuz I approve of you. So they ultimately will be fine with you because I am." And I think that the fact that he was saying like, that worries me that her family won't like me and I've dealt with that in the past. I think that's just a major insecurity of his because we did hear about his past and
mhm,
how he's grown up, and he's talked about that being an issue with like presenting his full self to people, because of fear of judgment. I'm like, you were so concerned about Bliss's family, you should have been concerned about your future spouse, because in the end it was Irina who judged you.
mhm.
Not even anybody external.
Yep,
It was her.
yep. Let's see. Consulting Mari's tweet again. Mari says that she feels like, based on her, she only saw the first episode when she tweeted this, that Zach gives off wounded puppy vibes. Uh, I'm
I feel like a puppy is too adorable.
I'm confused about Zach because he's not real. Unlike Marshall, he's not my type, and um, but I didn't really see anything from him that gave me, like, creep vibes, which is what it seems like a lot of the other people did. Like Chelsea mentions not liking him. We saw that Jackie
Jackie.
mentions not liking him. And so there must be, and I don't know if it's just a vibe or if he is saying or doing something sort of weird around them. I'm not sure. Maybe they just didn't like, they might honestly still be judging him from his intro where he sort of as a joke slash as a test
Hmm.
told everyone that he was a stripper for his profession, and that I think he kind of based the two relationships he got into with the two people
Who didn't
who
care?
didn't care. And I think his reason behind doing that was very clearly because of his backstory and his mother and not wanting someone to judge him about that. And so like getting
Hmm.
past that right away.
Yeah, and I will say that when he ultimately chooses Irina, he's like, she doesn't care how much money I make. She didn't even care that I said I slept under a bridge. Like, I don't even know if she knows I was joking or not. She doesn't care about this. She doesn't care about that. I'm like, my guy, doesn't that not tell you that she's not at the level that you are with her? Maybe she just doesn't care. Period. Not, oh, I love you despite everything else. No, it's just, "Oh, I don't care." I'm just like, I'm just here to have a good with all of her interactions in the women's quarters. I completely even forgot that she was having conversations with Zach. I was like, "Oh, she's just our other person in the pods." And it was like, "Oh, no, she's actually going to be one of the couples." Wow.
I know. And this was clearly one of those times when my brother was trying to trap me because he's like, "What do you think's gonna happen? Who do you think's he's gonna pick?" And I'm like, "Well, I want it to be Bliss, so I'm assuming you're hinting that it's not."
Oh, that's so funny. So
I
he's
know.
he's one of those guys when you're watching something.
Yeah, he's like, "What do you think about
Like,
this? I'm watching you." Like,
yeah, you
looking
like
for
look
your
down at
reaction.
your phone. No, 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 wait. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna pause until you're ready.
He did. He was like I had to rewind, like, twice in 2 different scenes. You can guess who was in the scenes because he was like, "No, no, no, you're missing that reaction was so good." I'm like, "Well, just tell me what it was." And he's like, "No, you just have to rewind and see." And I just rewinded. It was like Marshall dancing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I
Um,
love you, Dave. Thanks for watching this with me. I really appreciate it. Had a great weekend with you.
one of the sentimental things for Zach was the fact that he had Ralph. And so he brings Ralph into the other side of the pod so that Irina could meet Ralph, which is his stuffed animal from childhood. He's had it since he was 3. And then she's like, "Did Bliss meet Ralph?" He's like, "Well, yeah." And she didn't. She was just, "Oh, okay. Well, this doesn't mean anything anymore." It's just like, ugh. There were just so many signs. I mean, and obviously we're outside looking in that showed him he should have chosen Bliss. However, as Bliss explained to Tiffany, she deserves somebody who chooses her. And I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? You're exactly right. I shouldn't even be upset about this because if he sees Irina as number one, then he doesn't deserve you. She was exactly right.
Yeah, and I have probably mentioned this on one of these podcasts before, but I think it's very helpful to think about if you are not chosen or you go through a breakup or something, it, you might think, "Oh, but they were perfect except for the fact that we broke up." It's like, "Well, no. The perfect person for
Yeah.
you would not have broken up with you. The perfect
Hmm.
person for you is going to choose you." So, clearly it wasn't perfect. And
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh yeah, don't you want to be with someone who picks you?"
Exactly.
Yeah. Um
the the most awkward, it was funny. What so after I watched episodes, one of my other friends, she started watching all the episodes. So she was live texting me, and we she kept texting me about things that were so embarrassing, like the guy singing or whatever. I was like, you haven't even gotten to the most secondhand embarrassment I got in this batch of episodes. She's like, oh my gosh, it can't get worse.
what was
It
it?
got the worst for me when they met
Oh,
and
yeah,
it
that was
was their
bad.
reveal.
That was
Uh,
bad.
oh my gosh, she just was not feeling him physically, and it was very clear.
Mhm.
She kept saying he wasn't blinking. She said it's creepy. She said he looked like a cartoon character, and he was nervous, which is like okay, rightfully so. Nervous. This is a different situation, but she met him as if she has never spoken to this man a day in her life. Usually people are trying to grapple with the fact that they're trying to equate the two, like, oh, you're talking, okay, I know this voice. Like that's the calming part of this. But she was just visibly uncomfortable.
Here is what I would like to know about Irina. Does she actually wanna find love/marriage on this
Not yet.
show? Or is she j like, what let's say that she was super attracted to Zach. Do you think she marries him? Do you think she continues to date him? Like, I can't tell what her purpose of being on the show is because it really seems like her purpose is to be the drama and to be the sidekick to Micah. Like it's she's not even it's not even like Shayna and Kyle where she's sort of trying and pretending.
Mm-hmm.
Like the you know the think whatever you want about that whole scenario. Props to Shayna for not even going to Mexico with him, for just being like, "We need to go home."
Yeah.
And it's always a bad sign. Take this from now on. If you're ever on this show and you meet the person and instantly you 2 go sit on that couch that's right there by the place you meet, that is a
Not a
bad
good
sign.
look.
That's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. Um, I think we can kind of run through a lot of this. It gets worse. They have no chemistry. She tells him up front, "No kissing me, no touching
Yes.
me." They sleep with a billion pillows in between them.
The the so I got the ultimate cringe at during the reveal when he had to whisper, "Do you want to kiss?"
And
And
she
she
said, "No,
said,
just the hug."
"No." Yeah, and they
Oh,
just
that was
oh,
bad.
yes,
Mm-mm,
not
mm-mm-mm.
not
Yeah,
the
that was not
whisper
good.
question. I was
That
like,
was
"Oh, so
another moment I had to rewind. My brother
yeah."
told me I had to rewind that one. and watch it again. I saw
I
it
catch
twice.
the whisper.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was like literally any step he tried to take forward in Mexico. No, I don't want to do that. I don't. Let's not. And for her to even tell Micah she gets the ick when he is anywhere physically close to her, that's all you need to know. That's a wrap.
And I'm not trying to say that she should not feel that way. If you feel that way, that's fine. That's fine. You're not attracted to the person. The experiment did not work on you. Get off
Hmm.
the show. Go home. Which pretty much does happen. I will say,
But not on her. That wasn't her call. It was his call.
right. I don't know whether or not I'm supposed to like Zach. And by that I mean what response is gonna not give me hate by the listeners. I was scrolling through Twitter. It was hard to tell because it does seem like a lot of people are not Zach fans. From everything that I've actually heard him say, though, it is giving more Mari's take of like wounded puppy, but like he does seem to be like genuinely there to look for someone to marry, like actually
Oh
pretty
yeah, I
comfortable
think
opening
so.
up. And I
Yeah.
really, really appreciate the fact when he calls her out and he says, you have not shown me that you're all in. It's like she's laying there covering her face with pillows. She's got sunglasses on. She's not even trying. If I was uninterested in someone, but then they actually like called me out on my BS, I feel like I would sit up and like try to pay attention during the conversation at least. She doesn't even try. He says, if you don't find me physically attractive and don't see it working out, I don't want to take this any further. Like, let me know. Like, I like the fact that he's being direct, that he's being open, that he's cutting, that he's not there just to be on the show for longer. Because I think if it was Kwame in this situation, I'm not sure that Kwame would have said those things. I'm not sure that Kwame wouldn't have just thought, "Let's just ride it out and see what happens." I don't know.
Mhm.
You know, maybe
Yeah,
not.
let's do it time.
I'm not trying to judge Kwame for not a situation he's not in. I can only judge him for the situation he is in. Um, but yeah, I love when he says he's not going to chase her. And she goes, "Oh, really? You're not going to?" And he's like, "Even though I know that's what you want." Like,
Mhm.
so he can read it and she thinks she's being sly, but she's
Yep.
not. And this is the last bit of credit I will give Irina. I actually really enjoyed their breakup scene. I thought it
It was
was
funny,
funny,
lighthearted. Yeah.
lighthearted. That was good. I liked the fact that she owns up. She says, "I've been a jerk to you. I would be so mad if someone treated me like this. I have never treated other people like this before. I feel bad. I feel bad for Bliss because I feel like I stole her chance with you." And this is what really made me question, did she ever actually like Zach? Like even before they met, like when they were just
Mhm.
talking in the pods, or did she just want to beat Bliss? Like did she
I
just
th
want to win?
Absolutely the latter. I think that she saw it as a game, similar to Micah, to like if Zach were to propose to her, she won, right? Because for her to actually admit in this moment, you should have like you probably should have chose Bliss. Have you thought about Bliss? Are you going to try to go after that? Like who is this person? It was just like she took off a mask
Yeah.
and we finally got to see a genuine person who was who is capable of having a real conversation. Because even before this, for her to say, on the plane ride home, I don't think we should sit next to each other, we should give each other some space. I'm so glad he's just like, then we should just end it. Like
Yeah.
what are we
Because
doing?
I think she was trying to say, like, look, I don't want to be with you and I don't want to sit next to you, but like, let's not break up because like there's still more TV show to be filmed.
Right, I can't hang out my friend if we break up.
I think, yeah. How much, here's my prediction or my question for your prediction. How much Irina do you think we're going to continue to see?
I think the fact that she still has a little bit of interest in Paul, we might see her in a couple more episodes.
But do you think it's going to be like Shayna, where we get the Shayna Shane conversation and then it doesn't really go anywhere after that? Although
Um,
we saw Shayna then in the After the Altar as well, so we did see her a couple more times.
right, yeah, I think she maybe not every episode, but I don't think we're done with seeing Irina. Uh Especially because, well, and then it's tricky too because is Paul thinking about Amber? Does he have to also try to weigh the pros and cons between, oh, do I
Oh,
pursue, like, should I not be in this relationship for one? That needs to be the first choice. And then, oh, is it Amber or Irina? Am I even actually interested in Irina? It's just, I don't, it looks like Paul has options. This engaged man has options. So we'll see. I definitely do think we'll get more of her, and not just like in the group settings. I think they're going to intentionally have we may have like one-on-one conversations with Irina.
And Paul was one of the only people we didn't really hear about, but almost every single other person, male and female, on the show made at least one comment in the time they're in Mexico about how immature or ridiculous or mean Irina was. So
Mm-hmm.
if that's not getting back to Paul somehow, he's got to like
Yeah.
then confront all that knowledge. So then we do have one more scene once they get back home. We get a little teaser of Zach meeting Bliss. He says, I made the wrong choice. You know I made the wrong choice. I know I made the wrong choice. My question, first off, I'm assuming we'll see the rest of this scene next time, but do you think
We better imagine they don't show us.
do you think this is going to go anywhere? Do you think Bliss is going to want to start dating Zach?
So one huge thing is this is Bliss's first time seeing Zach.
Right.
So that's another factor. Even if she was on the fence and thinking like, okay, I still wish he would have chosen me. She still had no idea what he looked like.
Right.
So now that she's seen him, that's a very important thing.
I do think, to give the show some credit in its format, I do think that you are more likely to continue with the experiment if you have to commit before you see them. Now that she has seen him, she gets to factor that into her equation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't see any of them in the next time on, so that's either
Could have
telling
left it
me
out.
that they're leaving it out, right?
Yeah.
Or that they don't get together. Let's pretend that they do get together for whatever reason. Do you think that they then become one of the couples on the show and like get to move into the apartment and get to do all that?
I think they have to.
Because there's only
Like
4
it's
couples
so
otherwise.
yeah, it's only 4. It's early on. It's not like it would be a huge wrench in things. The timing works.
Because when Shayna and Kyle stopped, wasn't they were the 6th couple, right? Weren't there 5 more?
No, I think we still only
did we
had
just drop down to
4.
4? I don't remember. That was
Yeah,
season
that's
2?
tough to think of. It was Shayna, Kyle, Shane. Yeah. I always have to think like Bartice and Shane are on 2 different seasons when I think of like perfect match.
So, the Love is Blind season 2 cast, that was the one that included Nick and Danielle. Alright, we got Nick and Danielle, Sal and Mallory, Shane and Natalie, Ayanna and Jarrett. And was that it? Or was there another couple? Maybe it was just them.
That was
Oh, no, Deepti and
Deepti and Shake.
Shake. How soon we forget?
Deepti and Shake, Mal
So
and
there were
Sal, Ayanna and Jarrett,
5 plus them. Interesting.
Natalie and Shane.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
wow.
was for a season that did not have any successful relationships, a lot of great people. I mean, great, TV characters.
Yeah, I mean, I hear through the grapevine there might be a podcast out there.
Oh, yes. Yes. They're coming for us in our spot, but it's fine. I mean, they were actually on the show.
Right.
But,
So if y'all go listen to, is it Deepti and Natalie? If y'all go listen to that, just listen to it in addition to our podcast.
Love is Blind podcast. I know it's Deepti and someone, right? Or is it Natalie and Ayanna? No, I don't
No,
remember.
Ayanna has her own podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Deepti and Natalie.
Deepti and Natalie. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I did watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a really cute logo. and like a picture of them. They're like holding their podcast microphones like this. I can't do that here. Wait. Sorry for the horrible audio. Yeah, we'll just freeze frame that and use that as our new.
That's our new logo.
The new
logo. But yeah, so with Zach and Irina, I do think this was ultimately the right decision. I'm glad that this happened. They had zero chemistry. She wasn't into it. And like, this was the only piece I could relate to her with, like, when you're over it and you know that you could be behaving better. And at least she acknowledged it. Like, I've been there where I'm like on the verge of a breakup and I'm just, not that I'm not nice, but I'm not as pleasant as I could be. And I just know that no, this isn't it. Like if we've reached that point, this isn't it. So yeah, she wasn't the one to end it, but I'm glad that he put his foot down. He ended it. And I'm very interested to see what Bliss has to say. If Bliss comes in there and says, "No, I deserve to be your number. I deserve to be chosen first. I don't deserve to be a second option." She has every right to do that, and I wouldn't even fault her. But am I kind of curious to see if they could work? Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, kinda.
So,
We'll find out pretty quick into
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yep.
So
Uh,
let's or anything else on Zach and Irina?
Nothing else on them. I did wanna say I had one other thought on this show, so, just to continue the Kwiatkowski family, Love is Blind
Mhm.
moments. Watching all of the proposals did hit a little different this time for me because, my sister got engaged this
Woo.
weekend, and I was there at her proposal, and, so now when I'm looking at all these, I'm like, "Oh, but some are real because sometimes love exists."
Did he sing?
No, there was no
Okay.
singing. There was no singing. I
That's
did crawl out
good.
to take a picture, and she was like, "What are you doing here?"
Oh, that's
There
awesome.
is that.
Um, yes, there's real love to be had out there, and I just wish this show could see. I mean, hey, we got Brett and Tiffany, and I have all my eggs in that basket. So if
Yes.
anything happens with them, I will be shattered.
Yeah, I agree.
Do
I agree.
understand that. So let's get into our final, not our final predictions, but our predictions for these
Yes.
couples.
Uh,
So,
Micah and
yeah,
Paul, and I will say for this, you can tell me, here's what I wanna know.
okay,
For each separate person, are they going to say "I do" or not? I will take
okay,
that.
okay.
So, Micah and Paul.
I think that in the previews was Micah the one that said you need to be the one that goes first. There was someone that said that in like the season long preview. I didn't
Don't
see it in this
remember.
batch, but I saw it in like the season trailer that somebody makes it to the aisle and they're like, you need to be the one. I think I need you to answer first. So I'll check again after this podcast and we'll talk about it next week. But I think so. If Micah and Paul make it to the altar, I think that Micah would say no
Mm,
and Paul would say no.
okay. 2 no's for you. I think Paul is gonna say yes. I don't know
Ooh.
why or how, but I just see that happening. So, I'm gonna do that. But
And what about
I think
Micah?
no, Micah's saying no. Yeah,
Okay.
I think she's not into the Paul. All right. What about Chelsea and Kwame?
I think Chelsea will say yes and Kwame will say no. I think he'll reach a point
Oof.
where he's searching for that feeling he has with Micah
Mm,
and ultimately will realize that he doesn't have that with Chelsea.
brutal.
I know.
I'm going to hope that Chelsea says no.
Ooh.
And I think that Kwame will also say no. I think it's no's on both of
Chelsea
them.
chooses herself.
I think
I like that
Chelsea
storyline.
will choose herself. Choosy Chelsea's choose themselves. Um, Tiffany and Brett, checks all around. We feeling good
It's
about
gonna be
them?
I do, I do, I do
I do. They
across
will
the
say I
board.
do. We will say I do. We all approve of their relationship. Awesome. And I want to see pics in a year of them and Lauren and Cameron hanging out
Yep.
together. I mean, I know they're not close geographically, but you can make it work. Um,
Right.
uh, Jackie and Marshall.
Ooh. I think that Marshall will say yes, or I do, and Jackie will not.
Oh no, we only
I
have one
know.
successful couple so far.
I know, it's nerve-wracking.
I think that they're gonna say yes. I don't know how, but
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
just hoping for love. I'm hoping for at least 2 successful yeses. Um,
Mhm.
Micah and Kwame, are they going to somehow get together?
Oh, what a twist.
You don't even need to give me like the yeses and nos
Yeah,
separately.
like,
Just do you
just
think that this
will they
could
get
happen?
together? No, I don't think those two are meant for each other. It's something about her that's pulling him to her, and I think she
Mhm.
just likes somebody
I
that
think
is
she likes the attention, but not
exactly.
him. I agree.
If they were to actually get together, I think there would be multiple obstacles in terms of like they may have physical chemistry, but there has to be more. So,
Bliss and Zach.
I don't know. I'm like leaning on she may be thinking, why not? People make mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everybody
Feel-
knows what I'm talking about. I don't know. She may give him a chance. She might.
I think the fact that we only have 4 other couples at this point. I mean, look, the first 5 episodes, they were all almost an hour. If we get the next drop and they're all 30 minutes, that's a bad sign.
Exactly. Let's just go with. Uh, let's go with yes.
You think yes, they're going to we're going to at least see them
A
exploring
try.
a relationship. I
Yeah,
agree. I think
I
we're going
think
to
if
get
he
that.
can. I think if he can really put his heart on the line and be vulnerable and explain
Uh-huh.
what went into his decision making,
Explain to
she
her, explain to the
yes,
audience what on earth was part of his decision making. That would be great to know.
yeah. We
And
deserve a clear explanation.
last but not least, Paul and Irina. Is it happening?
I feel like Paul and Amber is more likely than Paul
Oh,
and
okay.
Irina.
I'll put that in. You think it's going to be Amber. Okay.
Because I feel like Paul at least respects that he's friends with Zach, and they are only going to become stronger friends as the season goes on.
Assuming that Zach is still on the season.
Oh yeah, assuming he's still. There are so many factors at play.
I would have hoped that we would have. Did we see any Amber on the preview? I
Can't
don't think I
remember.
saw her. I'm gonna say big no for Irina. I think she shoots her shot and he shoots her down. So I think
Ooh.
that's not gonna happen. Cool. Well, we have room to change this opinion after the next drop. But this is these are just preliminaries that we've got here. You can see our little. Oh,
Yeah,
this is
right.
too small to actually see. But anyway, I've
Please
got it.
don't hold us to it.
Got it checked. It's written in pencil, but I'm not going to change it. It's on the podcast now, so it's official. Those are our predictions. Any final thoughts about the first drop? Anything you're excited about? Anything you're nervous about, given the predictions?
I will say that once the seasons start, like going through episode 1, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be that invested in the season. But now, once I finish episode 5, I'm like, okay, I'm all in on Brett and Tiffany as my love couple, and then the entertainment from the
Love
others.
couple.
The entertainment for the rest of the couples is enough to keep me reeled in. It's enough to it prompts chatter. I think if any season can makes you want to talk to other people about it. Like, yeah, we have to talk about it on the podcast. But if I want
Mhm.
to go the extra step to talk to other people about it, that makes me know that I am really enjoying it. So, what about you? Any other thoughts?
I have hope. And I found this first bunch to be very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy that the show continues to entertain. Um, I would like to shout out some of our listeners for giving their thoughts. Josh Green thinks that Irina is the worst reality love show villain. Wow, that's I mean, there's
There's
a
a
lot of
lot
people.
out
Look,
there.
Bartiz was how quickly we forget about Bartiz. Um,
Yes.
Roy says they seem to show a lot more footage about the talking that took places in the lounges this season. I agree. It seems like we stayed in the pods for a long time. I thought we discussed pros in that we got to see more, potential cons that maybe they don't have a whole lot in the back half of the season to show us. We'll
Right.
see. Let's see.
We got
Vi-
one from Jason Tsunami,
oh,
um, who is my brother's boyfriend. So my brother.
nice.
He said, dare I say the messiest Love is Blind season out yet.
Ooh,
Hashtag my kettle is ready.
ooh.
That's a big statement.
Yes, please give us more thoughts if you have them.
Yes.
Violet Moon agrees with what we were saying also. They heard about the terrible guys last season and decided to go with more terrible women instead. Um,
We got to
sorry.
keep it balanced.
Decided to go with more terrible women instead of better men. So I think she means there's both. Because look, I said, oh, all the guys are great. And then we decided to talk about how actually asterisk, maybe not all the guys. Um, let's see. This is the most average looking beautiful people in the series, and I love it. I mean, I still think they're all beautiful, but I have low self-esteem. Petition to stop men singing. Yes, we covered that. And then yeah, so we have at least one person here, Jersey Pete, wondering why all the women are mean to Zach, and asks, how does this experiment compare to Marry at First Sight as a viable option for success? Do you agree that they only need one good couple for the show to work?
For the show to work, I no. I think it's for the show to be entertaining. Absolutely. I think if we have one good couple, then everything else can be full of drama, and you're gonna
Mhm.
have a great audience. You're gonna have people talking about it. I do think the formula for Love Is Blind has a better chance at working over Married at First Sight, because at least Love Is Blind is giving you the power of choice, where Married at First Sight, you have no choice. You're trusting people to marry you, or to find your spouse. So yeah, like if I had to, in some uh, hypothetical world, if I were to apply to one of these, I would choose Love Is Blind over Married at First Sight.
Interesting. What is the track record on Married at First Sight?
It's not great. We're at about they used to we're on season 16, and they've been doing 5 couples a season since maybe season 9. Before that, they were 3 to 4 couples a season. So lots of couples. Like if you just do 3 times 16, that's the least amount of couples they've had. And for a while, we were holding steady at 12 successful couples. So
Whew.
maybe we're at like 14 or 15 successful couples now. So yeah, not great whatsoever. Like imagine we're at season 16 of Love Is Blind, and we're like, yeah, there's about 10 couples still together.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. So, hmm. Yeah, I guess I'd have to agree that probably it's better to go on Love Is Blind if you're looking for odds, at least.
Right. If you had to choose this without just finding someone a different route. But
I want to see the data on out of all of the reality TV shows out there, all of them. How many people who have been on the show have gotten together on their season, right? Because like there's a lot
mhm,
of people where it's like, oh, they were on Big Brother but on completely different seasons and they end up together. I want to know
yeah.
on the same season, even shows that are not dating shows. Like there's a lot of Survivor couples. Are there more Survivor couples who met on the same season than successful Bachelor couples? I would love to know. I bet that data's out there somewhere.
I think there's more Big Brother couples than couples from The Bachelor.
Okay.
I don't know about the statistics from The Bachelorette,
Hmm.
because for a while there, The Bachelorette was having a better success rate than The Bachelor. Especially if you look at specifically, is The Bachelor with the woman he chose? Because a lot of times he's just with the woman from his season that he didn't choose. So that's what we're working with here, people.
Sometimes you have to drive the car before buying. What did she say?
You have to drive it before you buy it. You wouldn't
uh,
just go buy it off the lot, and you didn't take it for a test drive, which for cars, that does work. People
People
are
aren't cars.
nuanced. Right.
Oh my
Um,
god.
but yeah, very excited to be back next week talking about
Yes.
episodes 6 through 8. So keep a lookout for it. If you subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed, you'll see it when it drops. So yeah, Mary, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Frail Mary, and you can follow me also over at Kowski Cast, which is coming back this week for Riverdale, the
Oh,
final season. It's the final countdown. Season 7. Are we excited? I don't know. Are we intimidated by the prospect? Yes.
Do they still do so many episodes a season?
I haven't checked to see if they're releasing a full season. I believe it's going to be like at least their shortest season is 13 episodes. So
Oh, okay.
my guess is it will be at least that, but up into, season 6 was 22 or 21. I mean, it's 20 plus. So
Yeah.
we shall
Woo.
see, but that'll be exciting. Do not let my lack of enthusiasm deter you. I will muster it up for the show. For anybody who is potentially watching the video feed of this podcast, sorry that I kept playing with my hair. Do not leave comments about that. Look, that is what I do when I'm when I'm podcasting. I'm not normally on video.
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm doing that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there right now that a lot of TV shows. We got Survivor, we got Big Brother Canada, we've got you've got Married at First Sight. So I think there's just a plethora of coverage you can get from both of us. Aysha, do you have other things besides Married at First Sight you're covering right now?
Yeah, well, or that I've appeared on. So yeah, y'all can
Yeah.
follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Aysha like Asia. It's AYSHA
TikTok,
like
yes.
ASIA. Yes. So my TikTok, you'll see my face. But then my dogs also have a TikTok that they post on regularly at Malshu Sisters. If you enjoy dog content, if you're looking at the video, this is Pepper and Cinnamon. If you're here with us for the first time, my 2-year-old and my 8-month-old. So they keep things alive around here.
I love that Aysha has a picture of her actual dogs behind her, and I have a picture of a cow in the background that is not real and not mine.
It's on brand though. On brand.
It is on brand.
But yeah, so let's see. So yeah, Big Brother Canada, I will be on the roundtable this week talking some Big Brother Canada with what we know. I also appeared on the Top Chef RHAP-Up to talk about season 20, episode 3 with Haley Strong and Latanya Starks. Had a great time talking to them. I also joined my Married at First Sight co-host, Jason Reed. He and I took a trip over to the Bachelor RHAP-Up to talk about episode 10 with Haley Strong. We had a great time talking about the overnights, and as Zach the Bachelor calls it, sex week. It was a very fun time. And then, yeah, of course, every week I am talking about Married at First Sight with Jason Reed over on our podcast called A Perfect Match. We have a great time. Episode 12 is out to recap for season 16. So go, you don't even have to watch the show. We give a full rundown of the entire episode and all of our thoughts and opinions. And that is exactly where you found this podcast. And we are also on YouTube. So if you are listening to us and you didn't realize you could be seeing us at the same time, Mary and I are on YouTube on the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel so you could get all of these podcasts. You could view us, as we talk about these things. I use my hands a lot.
We both do. A lot of hands.
Exactly. But yeah, go subscribe to the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel, and then also subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed so you can get all of our podcasts, and you will know when they drop. You'll be the first to know. Everyone was looking for this one. We are here, people. We are covering this season. So don't fear. If you've made it to this point, you know that.
You know that we're covering it now.
Right.
That you've listened to it.
Exactly. Now that you're 2.5 hours in. So thank y'all so much for sticking with this with us. We will be back next week to talk about episodes 6 through 8. Very excited. Leave us your thoughts and opinions on Twitter. We would love to see it and read it. One more thing. I will be joining Latanya Starks and Marissa Garza over on Post Show Recaps to talk about the season on. So if you're on Netflix, you've heard of the show. So I'm joining them on the Feedback Show to talk about this season 4 of You. So yes, thank you so much for sticking with us, and we will see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.